Wow, that was one of the best stretches I've had in my life. Wow. Sup, ladies and gentlemen, Accolon here, and welcome back to each and one of you. Of course, if you are not yet joining us over on Twitch, what the hell are you doing? It's a lot of fun. You should be here live for all of this. Quite frankly, it is the only way to watch a live stream, is to watch it live. But in case you've missed it, you can always just let me know on Twitch what your thoughts are, as we go through even more of the BlizzCon Q&A from other creators. I believe today we're looking at Lost Codex, so that's going to be quite a lot of fun. Just waiting for people to sort of, make their way in. God knows how long that could take. Usually takes a couple of minutes, sometimes immediately. We'll have to wait and see. But we'll see. I don't think the notifications have even gone out yet that we are live. I do have some amazing food waiting at the end of this. All right, there we go. Notifications have been sent out. So it is time to let everyone know that we be live. We definitely want to go live right now, want to discuss things, want to hang out, want to do some lore, Royal J, how you doing, brother? How you doing, bro? Oh, by the way, Royal J, if you want, after tonight's stream, I think we're going to be playing some Phasmophobia. If you want to come join us. Yeah, probably just after the stream. That's good to know. That is good to know, Royal J. How's your day been going? I just want to make sure I've got everything set up the way that it needs to be set up. Arrogance lol, how you doing, bro? Dark Lady Accolon, sup? Happy to be here. Storm Rage, how you doing, bro? The Grey, how you doing, man? How's everyone doing? How's your day been? I really enjoyed the video. Alex did on the last time. Oh yeah, that video was funny as shit. Alex did a good job. But I'm very excited for the Among Us video that Kaki is working on right now. Yeah, Gray, you literally arrived at the beginning of the stream. As we were fucking starting. You're all quite early. Quite early. Alright, let's just quickly make sure I've got everything posted out. There we go. Alright, I think everything is fine. Bubba's, how you doing, bro? Can you guys hear the music? Everything's fine? Boo Monkey, how you doing? Good morning to you, miss. Dinosaur, morning echo. I guess evening for you? Yep. It is 6 p.m., but then again, it's kind of my morning because this is when I wake up and this is when I start streaming. So I work very much on the NA timeline. Fallon, how you doing, bro? Sounds like fine, like normal. All right, as long as you guys can hear the music, I'm happy. Can't believe I got you right in the beginning. So excited. Second live stream. Storm Rage, I'm very happy to have you here. Elishi, Aheshi, how you doing, bro? Very happy to have you guys here. We're going to be watching, what's his name? Well, their name. The Lost Codex. We're going to be watching their Q&A today. Moran, how you doing, bro? Well, I was actually responding to a YouTube comment about Arthas being manipulated compared to Anduin being controlled by a puppet. All while I had Twitch up, waiting for your ass to get on. I mean, I always start at the same time. How you doing, bro? Joker, how you doing? The Grey, I always start at the same time. But to your question there, especially what Steve Denuser said is quite interesting, right? The fact that, so yeah, you could basically look at it as Arthas was being manipulated, but definitely making his own choices, right? Dinosaur, thank you so much for the 5 community subs. Did really fucking appreciate that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. With some love and chat for Dinosaur and his awesome gift. There's at least 5 of you that can now say thank you for the fucking gifted sub. At least 5 of you. But the Grey, yeah, to that point, Elestri, thank you so much for the raid. Really fucking appreciate that. Welcome everyone from Elestri. How was your stream, Elestri? So there's at least there's at least some argument, right? When it comes to shall we say the the world of Arthas and Anduin, where I guess one should try and separate them, because Arthas, for the first part of his career as the Lich King, very much his own choices, very much influenced and manipulated, but still very much his own choices. In the second part of his career, however, he was fully under the control of the Jailer, which I don't want to say we called it, but we did call it long before it was actually confirmed. That was really fun, trying one challenge on WoW Ascension. Ooh. How did it go? Did you do it? I don't even know what the fuck that means, but I mean, if it's a challenge, then were you successful? Pyronaut, how you doing, bro? Or Pyro-Ort, I guess is how I should say that. Deadwreck, how you doing, brother? Lunavira, how you doing? You know, I could say I'm in pain, but that would require me having a soul. However, my ear stings anyway. Do we really know whether or not pain comes from the soul? I think someone who is soulless could still experience pain. They would just be incapable of experiencing pain in other people. So you could very much not have a soul and still be in some measure of pain. However, if that pain was internal without your soul, Luna, then yes, that would be a bit of a stretch. External pain, I think soulless creatures like yourself could still experience. Like you have 1 life and increased damage physical for 300% and magic for 800%. Need to reach level 70. I'm now 40. But it's really hard. I'm enjoying it so far. That is a lot of work. And actually, that sounds like a shit ton of work. Right? That sounds like empathy. Well, yeah. I mean, metaphysically speaking, right? So if we're talking about the world of fantasy and the world of story, then, you know, your shall we say, your empathy comes from the soul, right? Obviously, IRL, we know that's not necessarily true, but in fantasy, that is what it would be, right? Zukimi, how you doing? The mob kill me like on 2 hit. It's my 11th try. Are you allowed to die, or are you not allowed to die at all? How peculiar. Anyways, I had to push an earring back through the back of the hole because it closed. See, this is why I don't do piercings and I don't do tattoos. I see no fucking reason to cause yourself physical pain while trying to look beautiful. I mean, plus I'm fat as fuck, so really nothing I do will make me look beautiful. But still, you know, I don't think I'll put myself through pain for any sort of beauty gains. I can die. When I die, I lose the char and start again. Fuck! That does not sound fun. Kana, how you doing, bro? Mr. Slippy Fist, thank you so much for the follow, dude. Really fucking appreciate that. I've gave up on Ascensions. I'm too much of a noob, apparently. You're beautiful to me, Akko. Enough, thank you very much. I really appreciate that, dude. My wife wants me to get a tattoo at some point. Thinks it'd be sexy. Currently have 0, but I rock a nice beard for her. The gray, I would just tell my wife to go fuck herself. And not even be nasty about it. Anyone tells me to get a tattoo, I'd say no. You can put on you can put on your body whatever the fuck you want, right? I don't wanna put any sort of tattoos on my body. You are mildly not ugly. Wow, Luna, thank you very much. What a diplomatic way of telling me you're about average. Hey, Akalon, love your streams. I was glad to see you being live again. Perfect background discussion while I continue work. Zelena, how you doing, bro? Oh, Luna, it warms the heart. Loazim, yeah, she's an artist, has some tattoos, but nothing crazy. I don't care about tattoos, right? So I think tattoos can look very sexy. It can look very good. I just have never found myself in a position where I thought I need a tattoo. If I really find myself in a position where I think drawing on myself is a good idea, I'll take a pen and I'll fucking draw on myself and then wash it off once the mood has left me. Having a permanent thing on my body, it just doesn't make sense. What happens if I wake up? I get bored with shit so quickly. So quickly. Now imagine having something that's permanently there, looking at it every day and going, oh my fuck, I hate this thing. I'm bored. Unsafe butt cheek. I'm definitely not getting a tattoo of Sylvanas. Zachalon is the best. Lestri, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Get tattoos. By the way, guys, you have to follow Lestri. Lestri, I've not watched any of your streams yet, but thanks for the raid. Definitely going to do so. I'll drop you a follow as well. So if you guys haven't already, definitely go drop a follow on Lestri's stream. Just to thank her for the raid. And then you never know, you might discover someone you really enjoy watching. That's the whole point of watching live streams, isn't it? So true, I feel the same way. Would you get a tattoo if I got you some alone time with Sylvanas? Oh, that's that is an interesting shall we say offer. I'd have to think about that, the Grey. That makes things a little bit harder. That definitely makes things a little bit harder. Look at this juicy motherfucker. How you doing, bro? How you doing, Apocalypse? Are you saying you could get bored with Sylvanas? No, who could get bored with Sylvanas? Sylvanas is like the lady that just always gives, right? I'm streaming in my language. Alexri, what is your language? What language do you speak? But I start since today, convert stream to English. I don't think there's any reason to convert, right? Czech Republic. If there's a large enough, so for example, if you look at Spanish streamers, they're fucking killing it, right? Because there's so many people that speak Spanish. I don't know how widely your language is spoken. Kylie K, how you doing? But if it works, right? Have you even slept, bro? Apocalypse, why are you not sleeping? I mean, for the juice, let's have it. We're gonna get into that. Yo hablo español. Yeah. I think that means hello. I know yeah means yes. I don't know why the Spanish like going like J-E. Oftentimes when I see my Spanish friends speaking, it's like J-E. It's like, holy shit, that's a lot of yes. Private Spanky, how you doing, bro? I love your videos. I'm a truck driving that drives 9.5 hours a day. I watch almost every single video you have posted. Thank you very much, dude. Love all the theories. Thank you for keeping me awake from 2 to 4. It is my absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for that. Was waiting for Jamie to be discharged from the hospital. Okay, good reason to be awake. Very good reason to be awake. Jay sounds like an H in Spanish. So it's he. So it's basically laughing. So wait, J-E is the Spanish version, so to speak, of laughing. Yeah, I know Javier. So I know how to, when someone's name is Javier, it is Javier. Obviously, guys, I want to say this. I can speak two languages. Only one of them is internationally recognized. The other one is barely spoken. It's spoken by like 3.5 million people. Not even, right? I think it's closer to like 2 million people that speaks my language, my main language. So I don't know anything about Spanish. I've never been able to speak it. I've never even fucking tried. First cup of coffee at the moment. Macmillan, how you doing, brother? I slept 2 hours and woke up last 2 nights. I was feeling like something was pushing me to the ground. I had a miserable sleep. When was this? 2 nights ago, actually. For some reason, my bladder decided I must be pregnant because I went to the fucking bathroom like every 15 to 20 minutes. God knows why, but every 15 to 20 minutes, as soon as I fall asleep, it's like, oh, for fuck's sake, let's go back to the bathroom. Let's go take a pee. Let's get back in the bed. As soon as I fall asleep, oh my God, what is going on? Like, how can one body produce this much water? Luckily, it's been fixed now for some reason. But yeah, it was miserable. Makes sense to speak whichever language you know that brings the bigger audience, if that's what you're going for. I think English is always going to be the safest bet, right? So to that point, if you want to switch to English, absolutely do it. You most likely have the accent going for you as well. Accents go a long way to bringing people in and keeping them there. But yeah, I would say if you struggle with English, if you feel uncomfortable with English, then don't do it, right? Probably one of the most difficult languages to learn, so it's understandable. I keep going to sleep really early and then waking up at 4 a.m. Why are you doing that to yourself? Valkyrie, how you doing? Natalie Frost, how you doing? Most Czech people know English. I just feel like I can only learn better English, and it's more open for people than Czech. But I'm talking with Czech people, like answering in Czech if they ask. I do that with people who's Afrikaans as well. So if someone does stop in, stop by and they want to ask me something in Afrikaans, I will answer them in Afrikaans, and then the rest of the stream just goes like that. I understand your load shedding issues now, by the way, Aquilon, after having to deal with power outages in Austin, Texas. Natalie Frost, but luckily with yours, it really is just a freak of nature accident, right? I mean, what can you do? You have this state that never has this level of snowstorms, and now that happened, you know, I'm sure the companies will be better protected the next time. I'm sure the companies will ensure that this doesn't happen, or that they have fail-safes in place if something like this happens again. In South Africa, though, it's not even acts of God, right? So it just happens because they don't know what the fuck they're doing. But luckily, I think things are about to change. Like, guys, I genuinely think, and this is just my guess. Now, anyone that knows me will know how happy this makes me, but I think South Africa is going to be the first anarchist country in the world. I'm literally not doing it to myself, though. I passed out last night at 9 p.m. because I was drained. I was hanging out with friends, one of which having severe period cramps, and another who was just way too energetic. Luna, knowing you, I think energetic people would kill you. I don't think you can... I don't think you'd survive really energetic people. I do think South Africa is going to be... My government is on the verge of collapse. They've run out of money. They have no idea how to generate more money other than just tax the living fuck out of all of the citizens. You have the entire country. So South Africa only has six billionaires, right? So South Africa only has 6 billionaires. And I believe 34,000 upper middle class to rich people in the entire country, right? So the country doesn't have a lot of active revenue that can still sort of be taxed. The government is just increasing taxes on those 34,000 people, trying to sort of force them to pay for the bills that the government keeps wasting. So the government is on the verge of collapse. Once the government runs out of money, it's not going to be able to pay the police. It's not going to be able to pay its workers, and South Africa is going to decay or collapse into anarchy. Woohoo! And yeah, South Africa is well on its way to producing power. Every single city will produce its own electricity. The bills have just been passed. So soon, cities will have private companies supplying them with power. We already have a massive infrastructure in terms of data. So yeah, I'm genuinely convinced that South Africa is going to be the first country in the world to decay into anarchy, which is, I think God is real. Like, genuinely, he must be smiling upon me. He gave me this shit country for the first 36 years of my life, but it's gonna get better. Are you planning on leaving then? It depends, right? No, I probably still would want to leave, but because I think the rest of the world is going to follow. Just a question, because I'm questing through it. The Wintergreen seems to disregard the lower. Do we know if her power level is kind of the same as the Jealous? No, her power level is definitely not the same as the Jealous. The Newser have said this in a few interviews right up until now, where he's explained the general. Now I might be getting this wrong, but I believe what he said is the general power level of all of the Eternal Ones is similar to that of the Titans, apart from the Jailer. The Jailer is the only one that is far more powerful, right? Not to get I don't want to talk into I don't want to get into politics. You can believe whatever the fuck you want. This is not a political stream. So the Grey, you can say whatever you want, as long as we don't. But you should know this already. You've been here so long. But as long as we don't get into discussions of, as long as we don't get into discussions of one side is this, the other side is this, because I don't care. I genuinely don't care. I sit quite happily in the middle, criticizing both sides and watching the implosion. So I don't really give a shit, right? I don't want people to feel unwelcome in the stream. I don't want people to feel attacked in the stream. And I definitely do not want people to come here thinking I give out advice. You should definitely never listen to me. I know nothing. They look into my fucking eyes. I know nothing. I am not the person that you should be following to get advice or life advice or anything like that. That's just, just fuck that. Is he plus because he's just that much more powerful, or is it because of the souls? I don't know. This is something we've been asking and going back and forth for a while now, right? I genuinely don't know. I simply believe that everything is ruined due to our society's need for excess. I don't know, right? I genuinely don't know, Lunavira. Because I think human beings have always required excess. I don't think I don't think there's ever been a human society that doesn't crave excess. And I don't think you can remove that, because at the end of the day, that becomes sort of the motivator for innovation. So, for example, let's take a look at someone that I consider to be a god. Not small capital, but small capital G, but non-capital G, but Elon Musk, right? Elon Musk makes billions upon billions upon billions of dollars. But that motivation is also going to lead to some of the greatest innovations in human history, right? That man is single-handedly going to make the world a better place. If you remove the money, I'm not entirely sure he would have done it. So there is good things in that as well. I'm a lore noob, but your vids have got me into it. Mr. Slippy, that is what I want to hear. That is what I want to hear. Everyone should get into fucking lore. The lore of World of Warcraft is amazing. One thing I noticed was at the start of Shadowlands, the jailer says, "Death comes for the soul of Azeroth." What do you make of that? And is Death a character we meet and the brother the jailer has been speaking about? So, Mr. Slippyfist, we sort of discussed this last night in quite a lot of detail, as well as during the show. And we've discussed it also at the launch of the Shadowlands. So I won't go into too much detail, because there is actually videos out there from me if you really want a detailed explanation of that. But right now, the jury is sort of split, right? So the jury, in my mind, there's definitely a 50% chance that Death is an individual character, and that's the one that I believe. I believe that Death is an entity, and that we have not yet met the entities of Death. But then at the same time, Death could also just be Zuval, right? The jailer could be Death. He could be the one who embodied Death, who still relies and believes in it, right? So all of that is still very much possible. I've been kind of cultivating my own theory. Does anyone, sorry, I have to kind of skip over to this side. Does anyone know of any examples of the Forsaken Undead Death Knights in the Shadowlands besides Mograine, excluding the Maw, of course? I don't know. I can't remember, but there's definitely, there should be, right? We already know the answer. Undead definitely do go to the Shadowlands. When they die, their souls still pass on to the Shadowlands like it did before they were resurrected. So, what is your theory? Having more than enough is always better than not having enough. Truth. Until the switch in his brain flips and we get our first supervillain. Are you still saying that the Winter Queen is evil? Yes, Kylie K. I still believe, not evil, right? This is something that Steve Dunuser also touched on in the Q&A, and something that I've made, tried to make a point of almost every single stream. Not evil. Evil is a very subjective thing, right? It's a very human thing. These are not humans, so they are not evil. I don't think they even know what evil would look like. The Winter Queen is an asshole. Like Apocalypse said there, that's actually perfect. She's an asshole. I don't agree with the way in which she wants to run the Shadowlands, if that makes sense. That's sort of the only thing I give a shit about, right? Is how she wants to control our lives. Do you know how time works in the Shadowlands? Does it work differently to how time works on Azeroth? Philip Korf, so this was answered directly in the Q&A for Blizzard Entertainment. No. Time is simply perceived differently, but it does not act different. Time still acts exactly the way that time acts. There's no difference. A minute in the Shadowlands is still a minute on Azeroth. It just doesn't... The minute in the Shadowlands doesn't matter. Right? That's basically what it boils down to. I'm in college with hopes of working for SpaceX someday. Elon's worth the money. James, I agree with you. I think it must be amazing working with that man. While I wouldn't quite consider that living in excess because he's putting the money towards innovation, I mean more along the lines of, for lack of a better example, the amount of wasted meat, at least in the US. Well, make it possible for me to come to the US and I will eat all of the wasted meat. I have no problem eating as much meat as humanly possible. I will have all the meat. I genuinely, I don't give a fuck. I would eat as much meat as you can put in front of me. I have the most amazing dinner for tonight. Just fucking meat, bro. Gonna be awesome. Why is it called Torrenmull if it's full of undead? Well, it's Tarrenmull, Fowlin. But yeah, sure. Like, do the undead go to the maw by default? Maybe that's why Sylvanas is so pissed and butthurt about the whole system. Lul, so we sort of thought that that might be the case, but it has since been almost sort of, I guess you could say, debunked. The undead still go in front of the Arbiter and they can still make their way. I think Steve Denuser actually spoke about this. Just because we don't see other undead characters, the undead can still make their way into any of the realms. And I get exactly where you're coming from, because the argument that you're making that I made as well is, why did Sylvanas go directly to the maw? I believe it's because the jailer had a very specific plan for her and he sent his maw swarm to intercept her before she could go to the Arbiter. It makes the Shadowlands have a different perception of time. Yeah, it's eternity, right? Eternity is what's changing at. Give me steak. They have excess sausage. Depending on the kind of sausage that you're talking about, Mr. Slippy, some of the sausage, big fan. The other type of sausage, never tried it, so wouldn't know. It's just a shame you'd go to Texas if you came here, my dude. East Coast is where it's at. Sathix, the problem with the East Coast is your taxes. I don't feel like working for the fucking government. And whenever the government takes more than at least 15% of my money, I start to feel like now I'm working for them and they're not giving me anything back. He lying? He gobbles the pork steeple on a daily basis? Lol. Another thing I wanted to ask was, is the only reason the Shadowlands open up again was because we as the players came? Seems before the other covenants were shut off from Oribos. Kylie K, they were shut off because they were running low on anima, right? So you sort of get that at the beginning when they're sort of debating whether or not opening the way to Bastion is a good idea. And he does say we're dangerously low on anima. He actually doesn't want to do it, right? When Telenara tells, I can't remember what his name is now, but when Telenara tells him to open the gate, he actually says, we don't have anima for this. So the fact that they're cut off is sort of an internal thing. It's sort of a decision that they made. They decided to cut themselves off because they no longer had the anima available to keep it open. Because it seems to me like these pathways of the first ones require a constant flow of anima in order to stay open. And because they didn't have anima to spare, they unfortunately had to close them down. But, I mean, we're now sort of working at re-establishing ways for them to get anima, re-establishing ways for them to store up the anima that they have available. So, for some reason, like, I don't see how anything that we're currently doing couldn't have been done by them. I don't see what we're doing differently to what anyone else could be doing, right? For real though, being a Sapphire, you are gonna hate the meat there. Yours is top notch and cheap. In the US, I don't know, their meat looks good. Not just looking out for ourselves and avoiding the problem. I mean, the meat there... Well, I think that's the problem, before we get into the meat discussion of the US. The problem that I have right now with the Shadowlands is all we're really doing is we're killing creatures within these zones and stealing their anima, right? So we're not technically getting new anima into the Shadowlands. The anima that's there is still fucking there, right? So why could they not have done this? Why could the Winter Queen not send the hunt to go kill creatures and grab anima from the creatures in Ardenweald? Or are we sneakily being fucking drained of our anima? Is the anima that they're getting our anima actually? You know when we do a world quest and you get like 70 anima for the world quest? Is that actually our anima that we get and then we give to them? So are we making ourselves weaker all throughout this fucking expansion? Thank you, Jay. How you doing, bro? So I always start my streams at 6 p.m. South African Standard Time. It is currently 6:28 in South Africa, PM. What do you think is the connection between Odin's Eye and the Eye of the Jailer? Do you think there could be a possible connection between old gods and the Shadowlands, since Helia has worked with the Void in the past? Philip Cole, so we know that Odin's Eye is the Jailer's Eye, or at least it's so heavily hinted that it must be the case, right? Otto, how you doing, bro? So it absolutely must be the case. As for what that connection is, I genuinely don't know. According to everything that we've known, Muazala was the one who received Odin's Eye. Odin made a deal with Muazala in order to be able to see into the Shadowlands. The fact that the Jailer now has that eye, and that eye is the Eye of the Jailer, that is interesting, right? I don't know why Muazala would have given up that eye, but I will say that it feeds into the sort of spoilers that we have for 9.2. There is a problem with that theory that we're being farmed, and it is that, according to Steve Denuser in an interview with, I believe it was SA Gamer, but it could have been the French website. I can't remember their name, but there's a French website that also does these interviews almost all the time. But Steve Denuser there said, living creatures cannot be farmed for anima. You cannot extract anima from living creatures. Everything gets farmed. Thanks, that helps. I'm Mountain, so 9 a.m. for me. I still feel like the Jailer is being controlled by death. I think so too. Well, wait. Are not our attacks on Torghast leeching anima from the Maw? I mean, we don't really get anima for going to Torghast, do we? It's never been one of the things we get. B Stefan, how you doing, bro? So I would say no. Torghast almost. So the Jailer seems to have a very different connection and reason for anima than any of the other Eternal ones. If you look at the other Eternal ones, they almost appear to, like, they use anima for the good of their realm, maybe to sort of empower themselves, and of course to keep his prison going. The Jailer seems to take every single ounce of anima he can get his hands on and just making an army. Like, he doesn't give a fuck. He just wants an army, right? That's all he gives a shit about. What if Elune holds the Jailer's soul and that's why he... Okay, so Danmo, I'll say this. There's someone that DM'd me about a theory that they have. They think it is Elune that's locked up inside the sepulcher. What do we think? Chat, what do we think of that? Ducky Cup, bro, how you doing, bro? Land animatics. Be Stephen, that is true. Do you think Lothraxion will release Denathrius from the sword? I don't know, but it is definitely possible. How could she send Ysera to Ardenweald, though, if she was locked up? Fallon, the same way the jailer could. The same way the jailer could interfere, right? She doesn't have as much power. I mean, it would explain a lot, right? It would kind of explain... Macmillan, thank you so much for the 5 community subs. Did really fucking appreciate that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Can we get some love in chat for Macmillan? You should all have the emote. Spam it now, baby. Spam it now. Royal J, thank you so much for the spam. Really fucking appreciate that. That is, of course, Macmillan's own emote. He is the only viewer in the history of the channel that has his own emote. We have another viewer that has his own emote over on Discord, but that's because he donated $1,000 once, like legit just dropped into the stream for 10 minutes and said, hey dude, love your content, here's $1,000. And we were all just like... So yeah, that was sort of fucking off the hook. I just had a random thought. What if Elune is the one that's potentially controlling Zuval with the runes and shit? And instead of being locked up in the sepulchre, she's residing there to stay safe while controlling everything for the sake of balance. Luna, I definitely don't... I won't put that past her. But the point I was trying to make, that your post also sort of alludes to, is this could explain why Elune is so limited. Craren Gaming, how you doing, bro? Elune is very limited, right? Elune can almost never interfere directly with anything that happens. Seven Raven, how you doing? Elune never interferes with anything that happens. At best, the only thing that Elune could do... actually, I believe it was Seven Raven who shared that theory with me. Hold up, let me just quickly check on Discord. I believe it was actually Seven Raven who shared that theory with me. Yes, it was Seven Raven. Seven Raven was actually the one who shared the theory, where Elune is the one jailed. She is the one locked up. Now, like I said, there's a lot of things that suggest that Elune isn't freely moving around. Because when her people were dying in Teldrassil, the best she could do was put them to sleep. But according to everything we know, they still felt themselves being burnt. They still felt themselves dying. It was just a case of, oh, yeah, we'll help you, right? I'll put you to sleep. That was basically fucking it. The Red Star, if it's ever gone, that's a problem. Natix, how you doing? Well, the Red Star doesn't seem to be doing anything right now. I think what the Paragon during the Kingsmourn cinematic was going to say when he began, perhaps the Wintergreen can. I think it was going to say, perhaps the Wintergreen can ask Elune for her aid. Mocha, we all sort of think that's maybe what he was trying to say. The problem is, we can speculate on that a million ways from Sunday, and we'd still not have an answer, right? Well, you can feel when you get hit or stepped on when you sleep, even if you don't necessarily wake up from it. Luna, yeah, but that's exactly the point, right? Elune could have saved her people. If she is a god, even if she is just a titan, she can save her people, right? Right there, she can step in, grab all her people from Teldrassil and remove them. She can douse the flames if she really needs to. She doesn't do any of that. Instead, she just puts them to sleep and allows them to die a fiery fucking death. Do you regret killing a man in 2008? Did I kill someone in 2008? It's a bit long ago. You'd have to be more specific. There were so many bodies. Agent, how you doing? Nusa, how you doing? Want to see that achievement I finally accomplished from yesterday? Binet, show me. Perhaps the new zone Korthia hides a key that'll unshackle Death itself. And Death itself is mind controlling Zuval. I think so, Cookie Pro. If it's not Elune doing it, then it must be Death, right? If Elune, I would be hyped if we find out that Elune and Zuval is working together. No, Elune is like Void Lords, unable to reach into this realm. You almost sound like me now, Echo. Is that a good or bad thing, Luna? I think that Primus went to Corthia to hide the key and maybe defend it. Well, where is the... Like... Is the Primus truly just hiding, or is he dead? Because according to his own letter, if we found that blade, it means something happened to him, right? And he's either dead or locked up by the jailer. I'd say it's a good thing then, Luna. Needs to be balanced between death and life. Elune locked away in the moons and the jailer in the moor to keep them from each other. So it's a love story. Twilight Horde. How long did it take you to get this achievement? Beanit? Do you think there will be a Void expansion? I hope so. Do I think it? Yes. Do I hope it? Fucking absolutely. But it just makes sense that Blizzard is going to start focusing on the more cosmic forces rather than just trying to, I don't know, keep, I guess, diving back into, like, the smaller things. It's not a love story. That's so cliche. I mean, it is cliche, but when have you known Blizzard to not milk the cliche? Have you ever known Blizzard to not milk the cliche? Do you think death is on Corthia? I think the secrets to death is on Corthia. I don't think death itself is on Corthia, no. I can't wait to see all the Void Elf players, if they will be one. Primus is hiding because he himself is the key. Perhaps he saw the timeline. Well, according to the Primus, Draka is the key. What if Elune is death and the jailer fell in love with death, so the Eternal One separated them, kind of like Deadpool? Enoch, it is possible. Basically, guys, everything you're saying now is possible because we don't know anything. Like, the questions you guys are asking me, I genuinely have no answers to because we don't know, right? There's nothing to know about Elune. Blizzard, for some reason, refuses to tell us anything, especially when it comes to Elune. And then, of course, there's the whole, what is Zuval actually after, which, again, we don't have any real answers to. So, I don't know. It could be. Everything you guys have asked so far could very well be. And I would love the story going that direction. Like, every single thing. To the romantic angle, Jailer equals Hades, Elune equals Persephone, Winter Queen Demeter. Demeter threw the world into winter when Hades took her daughter Persephone to the underworld. So you think to yourself, the Jailer and the Winter Queen fell in love. No, the Jailer and Elune fell in love. The Winter Queen would have none of it. She would not have her sister marry her own brother, because that's disgusting. He wasn't happy. So he decided, fuck it. We'll just, the Winter Queen wasn't happy. You can't marry your sister. What the fuck are you doing? He said, fuck it. I don't care, right? I'm a hillbilly. I'll marry whoever the fuck I want. Elune was so awestruck that they just decided to get married. And then they got banished together. End of the story. What a beautiful love story. Twisted as fuck, but beautiful. Any relations to the law of death and death itself? Dave Monkey, how you doing, bro? Well, we know that the Lower of Death, Muazala, is working for the Jailer. And ergo working for death, right? Draka, because she's a warrior with the skills of a thief and can unlock the most difficult locks. Have you seen the Jailer fucking his own sister is the least of the problems? I don't know, though. Incest on that level is a little bit much, even for me. Well, Primus is the ultimate tactic commander, so he went to Corthia to prepare the defense of Corthia. They say that he was a good strategist. Doesn't necessarily mean that he's a better strategist than the Jailer. If you look at the Jailer's plans, it seems like everything is working out according to what he wanted, right? I'm really interested to learn more about the Winter Queen. I fucking hate that bitch, but I'm right there with you. I want to learn more about her as well. Incest, the game for the whole family can play. Exactly, you know. Is it really incest if it's on a deity level, though? I mean, brother and sister is brother and sister, right? The fact that everyone makes fun of the South whenever we talk about incest, what the fuck? I am fairly certain that if you look at the amount of people living in the South, it is almost non-existent. The amount of people that actually engage in that shit. But who gave Prime its ability to see millions of outcomes? Metroplex, in my opinion, a Void Lord. A Void Lord. Must have done it. Luli, so my reasons for hating her is very ideological, right? And that's why I hate the Shadowlands in general. When we first learned how the Shadowlands worked, I closed my eyes and I imagined that being our afterlife, and I genuinely despised it. Every second of it. I want freedom as much as humanly possible, and their entire system, the entire system of the Shadowlands, is enslavement. Right? Everyone is enslaved, and everyone serves a greater purpose, part of the whole. The good of the many outweighs the good of the few. That sort of thing. And I fucking hated that. I just hate the idea of it. So, the Winter Queen to me is perhaps one of the worst offenders of this, because it seems like the people that get in there worship her, right? The Archon is perhaps just as evil, if not more evil, because they actually wipe the minds of the people that serve there. You know, so I just despise it. Original Greek gods were related. Zeus and Hera was married. Demeter, Hades, posted Poseidon were all siblings. So basically, we're saying when it comes to god level creatures, there's no such thing as incest. Is that what we're saying? Ivania, thank you so much for the follow. Really fucking appreciate that. Welcome to the channel. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Justinate, as I said before, evil is subjective, right? So I don't mean evil as in morally evil. To me, it's an evil system. To them, it's just what they have to do, right? So it doesn't really matter. It's just what they have to do. Incest wasn't a thing. Word back then. Shout out to all the Southern Comfort drinkers out there. You glorious bunch of sister fornicators. When you really think about the Shadowlands, it is scarier than most other options. Imagine being judged into an afterlife that you have to follow their rules and serve for eternity. From that standpoint, I am totally on board with Sylvanas and breaking the cycle. I can't believe I just said that. Sathix, ladies and gentlemen, can we welcome Sathix to the Sylvanas Simp Club? He has just started on his journey. Oh, the little P. There's so much you still have to learn. So much you still have to learn. But you're gonna get there. And you're gonna fucking love it. Behind Shadowlands' Death and Decay on the Cosmo map, you said that when a person dies, he goes to the respectable realm. Like a Lightforged Draenei would go back to Realm of Light. But who would go to the actual Realm of Death? Mortals. Mortals would have been going to the actual Realm of Death. Welcome to the bright side. If you watch the Bastion storyline and play it, it tells why memories are wiped. They don't help the soul any longer in the Dutiful Souls, whereas in Draka, they kept them because the memories fuel them and further them. Saven Raven, the problem with the whole soul wipe is that it meant that they were doing more harm than good. So I get why they wiped the minds of the Kyrians. I still don't agree with it. They wiped it so that there would be no personal sort of so that it would truly be neutral, right? Their job is to get souls and take it to the soul stream and then collect it from the Arbiter after the judgment was passed. And they're not supposed to cast their own judgment. The problem with that is, as we saw, they had no idea what Arthas was doing and by extension what the jailer was doing. And also you are still removing people's ability to think for themselves. And I don't care how good of an argument you make for people losing their ability to think for themselves, it is wrong. Like, as a society, if you lose the ability to think for yourself, you're fucking doomed. Okay, Pentecost, he still remembers. He still remembers because there was interference with it. And he hasn't yet ascended. Samian, how you doing, bro? Just like Devos and Uther, because of his memories, Arthas automatically went to the mall. They let him rest until they go. Well, when you think of ancient religions like the Greeks, Romans, and Egyptians, there was no concept of incest. They had to explain how those gods were made. True. And aren't attached to them any longer? To me, none of that matters. Seven Raven, I still don't agree with it. What do you think about the color of a loon associated with the color of the runes on the jailer? Well, I don't think from a color perspective that necessarily matters. I do, however, think... Seven Raven, I will answer your question or your statement. Let me just answer this and then I'll get to your statement. We could make the argument that the color scheme for a loon is very death-like, right? We could make that argument. Whether or not that is a valid argument, that really is up to Blizzard, right? And how Blizzard wants to tell the story, because the colors of a loon isn't necessarily the colors that we've seen so far, right? We're just seeing the magic that is being used. We're not actually seeing Elune herself. We would have to wait and see Elune herself before we could make that argument. Now, Seven Raven, on to your point. It doesn't matter whether you remove the memories willingly, right? In other words, the person is willing to give up their memories, or whether or not you're doing it by force. If you look at the entire preparation of the Kyrian, they give up their memories willingly, because they are already brainwashed into believing this is the best way to do it. And then, when it fails, when for some reason their memories won't go away, they're sent to the Temple of Loyalty for effectively re-education so that they can eventually lose their memories. So at the end of the day, regardless of how you want to view it, it's evil. I don't know how you can, like, how could anyone make, and I would be very interested to hear this, how can you make a moral argument for the Kyrian? So Kyrians are Nazis. Well, not just Nazis. Basically, Stalin and the communist Russia had the same thing, right? Basically, any sort of group, left or right, that becomes fascist in their nature, right? Talks about things like re-education camps and re-educating the public or educating the public. Whenever you hear shit like this, you have to go, what the fuck? The Kyrians are the Spanish Inquisition? Yeah, pretty much. Here's my argument for Kyrian: Spear of Bastion and Divine Toll. So Bastion is North Korea. Yep. Nazi plus plus. It reminds me of Indian religions of ascending their lives and letting go of all of it to ascend to a higher level. Yeah, but we know that they don't really ascend to a higher level, right? They don't ascend to a higher level. They ascend to slaves. With the theory of the jailer as being controlled by someone else with runes, I think it makes sense when he spoke through Anduin saying you sought to bind your brother. Even more possible it's someone else, I think. In my theory, I agree with that. I mean, you get wings, seems fair to me. Yeah, you're a winged slave, but you still can't leave because you've been re-educated to think this is a good way. I think it shows the different tolerances, right? This is what I think makes Shadowlands one of the best expansions ever. It shows the different tolerances, and every single covenant sort of shows people's own ideological belief systems. Now, granted, there's not really a good covenant for people like myself, who's extremely individualistic. I believe the greatest minority is the individual, and that's the only one that really deserves the respect and the protection. So there's not really one for me, but the Necrolords come close enough, right? To where I can keep myself, and I can keep my own head, and I can keep my own mind, and I can do pretty much whatever the fuck I want to do, right? So the Necrolords comes fairly close to it. Revendreth, I think, to some extent, maybe comes close as well, although they would be more chaotic evil or chaotic neutral at best. But then the Kyrians is more of a, we do whatever the fuck is good for the whole, right? So I think that's what makes Shadowlands such a successful expansion, is people can truly feel like they belong in the covenant that they choose. My sexy belle female is sipping mine with the Venthyr. I don't agree with how the Kyrians do it, but I understand the whole not being judge, jury, and executioner. That's the Arbiter's job. Well, one could also argue, why is that the Arbiter's job? Who gives the Arbiter the fucking right to judge you? If you think about it, then they are slaves with slaves, because the Swolkin sometimes say something like they hope to fly one day. I mean, the Swolkin, what's weird about the Swolkin is they love to serve. So yes, they also have slaves. Jailer probably loved the loon, so by the Kyrian rule, he had emotion, he knew love. And in Shadowlands, you can't have emotion like Kyrians. If you do, you are banished. I don't think it's quite as simple as that, but I get where you're coming from. Well, cool, at least I'm not just flaking out here. What do you mean? When I played it at launch? I mean, everyone's gonna have different experiences. Like I said, that's what makes the Shadowlands so amazing. Everyone is gonna find a covenant that sort of speaks to them on a very personal level, right? And that's perfectly fine. It's how it should be. People should be able to make that decision and feel as if they made the right decision for them. They're looking even more badass and bigger than Sargeras. That would be so fucking cool. I mean, I picked Kyrian, but I am the furthest thing from them. I'm borderline Buddhist, and I'm all about studying who I am. I legitimately picked them because of wings and cool armor. Now, imagine how fucked you're gonna be if you never get those wings, Sathex. I can't wait for the Jailer to rip and tear Winterqueen to flesh and bone. We all know you better now with your Maw Covenant. I would definitely choose the Maw Covenant if I could. Elune and the Jailer got divorced and they're fighting over Azeroth's custody. I have yet to have a connection to any part of the Shadowlands. Luna, are you serious? You still don't feel any connection to any of those realms? Tainbray, thank you for the follow. Really fucking appreciate that. Welcome to the channel. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I thought the same thing as Seven Raven when playing through Kyrian's story at Shadowlands launch, playing from a Pally storyline. Oh yeah, you're a paladin, die-hard fucking paladin, aren't you? My hunter is Night Fae, but my warlock is a Necrolord. Proud fucking Necrolord, bro. Tainbray, very good on you. How you doing, brother? Then cinematics happened and idea changed. What did you choose ultimately, Pumonkey? Nusa, I don't know. Can you be a Death Knight in a while? Well, yeah, of course. Necro Arms Warrior. For me, Necrolords are the best. I would die for my Skelly brothers and sisters. All right, let's hear it. I want to hear from every single one, what covenant did you choose? Necrolord, Kyrian, Night Fae, or Venthyr? Let's hear it. Let me know in chat very quickly, which covenant did you fucking choose? Alright, we're getting a couple of Kyrians, a couple of Night Fae, a lot of Venthyr. Actually, a lot of Kyrian. Now we're getting with the fucking Venthyr. Here we go. Where's the fucking Necrolords at? There's like one Necrolord that I've seen so far. Is no one playing Necrolords? There we go. 2 Necrolords, finally. There seems to be a lot of Venthyr, yeah. My DK is Necro. Well, shame a Necro. Necrolord for life. Night Fae for Queen and Grove. Oh my god. Venthyr for my DK when I get there. I chose Venthyr, but it was really close. Almost went Necrolord with my Demon Hunter. Venthyr Hunter and Kyrian Paladin. I have 4 Druids. 1 on each covenant. Jesus. My pally is Bastion. Why is there no more Covenant? You and me both, bro. I'm Winter. I want to be an asshole and sip my wine. Kaki, you also play a female character, so you do not get to speak. Base for DKs and Warlocks, and one spec for Shaman, which is probably why there are so few. I want to become a broker? Really? Capital fuck you. Hey, Kaki Bro, I'm just spitting the truth. If that makes you, if that makes you feel bad, that's your problem. What is with the whole playing females hate in WoW? There's no real hate here, but I do like poking fun at Kaki Pro. I don't really care. Play whatever the fuck you want, but I have to poke fun at you. Good day, Akalon. Hope you're doing well. I've just got here. Have I missed much? Thane saying, God, how you doing, bro? Not yet. We've not gotten into the Q&A just yet. Maybe you shouldn't be a sus Russian. Truth. Knife of a Pyramage. You can hate me now. I mean, I don't hate you. It's just weird. Yeah, the inside joke. So for those of you that don't know, Kaki Bro and I have played WoW together a few times now. And he's one of those guys that he dresses in slut mog. Right? 100% slut mog. And then he dances on the mailbox so that people can tip him money. And he pretends to be a girl sucking guys off under the bridge. Right? This is Kaki's character. 100%. I guarantee you. He will say it isn't. He's lying. It is his fucking character. So yeah. I just always tease him saying he wants to be that female character that he's playing. I enjoy my female characters. They need more feminine aspects for male characters in order for me to play them. Luna, but you would fit better with the female characters anyways. What a girl boss. Why is the first thing I hear pertains to be a girl sucking guys off under the bridge? Andy, because that's all you want to hear. I like the colors in your mad cave, Akalon. Just worried how you cope with bright light. Jockey, I mean, I have bright light there and there. So bright light's fine. I do perfectly fine with bright light if needed. It's only because male characters aren't feminine enough. Even male blood elves are disappointing. Imagine being killed by a fairy fox dude. People's madness is what drives me. You're just jealous because my dick is big. My dick is very big. Beanet, I don't think anyone's jealous of that. Looking at what Zaval said to the Archon through Anduin, we see that he is mad. He's mad at her for imprisonment. Unlike Wintergreen knowing how much he hates Wintergreen, it looks like they had much more personal relationship. What if Wintergreen isn't his sister, but was his wife or consort? I get vibes from them. Lockdog, we've been down this road. It could be any of those things. So you arrived a little bit late, Lockdog, but the general stance is that there definitely had to be some kind of personal connection. Even if it's not a love connection, still had to be a personal connection, right? Then alpaca got in my head. The fucking Welsher. Oh, Apocalypse is Welsh now. I still wonder where the Rune Carver will go after we free him. Will he even remember who the fuck he is after we free him? I've yet to be convinced. Convinced of what, Luna? Big Daddy Chad Winterqueen, Selfish Bitch Arbiter, Windows 7 Denathrius, some Primus, Napoleon version 2.0. That small dick energy. Whoa, okay. I get what Luna is responding to now. Battle.net Mike, I'm pretty sure that's now an invitation. And I've stopped maining the slutty Balf. I got 217 item level on her with almost all exalted reps. Now I'm living in a male Zandalari troll druid, but for the sake of the inside joke, you can keep making fun of me. I'm not stopping, ever. It is a challenge, right? If Battle.net came out and said he doesn't have small dick energy, and Luna responds with, I have yet to be convinced, 100% challenge. All Mike now has to do is accept it You know, at the time of sweet talking, I don't even sweet talk my mom. Holy shit. All right, shit's fucking going. All right, shit's kicking the fuck off. I think when somebody is Winter Queen's ex, who here thinks the Winter Queen and one somebody have a dating relationship? And back we go to the incest. I just don't throw my dick around, mate. Who knows, he might make a backup memory somewhere. Maybe. I think once we restore the Runecover's memory, aka the Primus, he will help us defeat the Jailer. Do we want to defeat the Jailer? Halbali, how you doing? Well, it's sort of who he is, right? He is sort of flirtatious and overly friendly. So I don't know if you can say he flirted with her and that means that there is a romantic relationship. She doesn't appear to be interested in sex at all. In fact, I would go so far as to say the Winter Queen is most likely... She is the most stuck-up bitch I've ever seen in my life. Probably you talked about this before, but maybe the Arbiter is an artificial Zuval, and that's why he hates her. The first ones make the Arbiter to place Zuval and took his heart and put it inside of the Arbiter to replace him because he rose against the death system. I mean, everything you said there is possible, and yes, we have spoken about it before. I don't really have anything to add to it, because we have discussed it ad nauseum on the channel before. So I don't really know what I could add to your theory there, other than it is plausible. This is real lore speculation right here. What is World of Warcraft lore without a little bit of sex talk? When you came to the stream, there was a little button there that said 18 plus. No apologies. Goofalufus, thank you so much for the table stuff. Did really fucking appreciate that. 4 months in a row. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm thinking about domination magic, and maybe we'll use it against the Jailer. B-Stephen, I think everyone is right now thinking about domination magic. Just not the same way you're doing it. Just due to such a vibe. Joe Mama's dad, how you doing, bro? If no sex talk, then it's all poop quests. I still want to know. Like, I still need the answer to how does Anduin poop? We watched it last night, Voodoo. Andy, I don't really care so much about the Jailer's poop as I care about Anduin's poop. Because the Jailer can poop. He's free to go poop. Unless, of course, he's being controlled by someone else as well. In which case, this becomes an inception of pooping. But Anduin, sort of, he's controlled right now. Which means that if he goes to poop, the Jailer goes with him. The Jailer sees what he sees. So, in other words, they're both going to poop. It's like a weird couples bathroom situation. Wow, it's very weird. Buries his poop and does he use the toilet? No, I think I think Gain buries it. Like, I genuinely can see Gain stepping outside, digging a little hole, walking in circles a couple of times, kneeling in that very sort of fucking weird dog, you know, that shitting dog stare. Just looking ahead of him and just fucking pooping, and then walking and sort of weirdly fucking scratching the ground as he's walking away. I can genuinely see Gain doing exactly that. When I was looking, synchronized shit, I think Gain scratches his back feet after. Exactly. I genuinely believe that's how Gain poops. Agent, how you doing, bro? Anduin did say you have a key. Probably needed access to the toilet. I mean, holy shit. Dude, thank you very much for the follow. Really fucking appreciate that. Welcome to the channel. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Wait, I swear Twitch keeps on following me from this channel. Dude, how you doing? Welcome back, dude. You know this is the content. Gained 20 viewers as soon as it started. People love this. Honestly now, has no one in this chat before today or Sunday thought about how does some of the characters in World of Warcraft poop? Am I the only one ever that has asked that fucking question? Sylvanas can't poop. She's a girl. Different thing. Many times, like, they're always in full armor. Always. So you think to yourself, if he comes up with the shits, right? So he's eaten something he shouldn't be eating, and now he's got the shits. Is he going to get out of that armor quick enough to actually relieve himself, or is it going to be a fucking mess that the servants will have to clean up? Rufus Diamonds, I'm sure. They changed costumes for years. I don't want for us to defeat Zuval. I want at the end of the X-Pack for Zuval to actually free Death, so them two can finally finish their plans, because Zuval's plans have been in motion since Wrath of the Lich King, and we found out about the plan this X-Pack. Fucking up his plans now would be so bad for him. Truth. Macmillan, thank you so much for another 5 community subs. Really fucking appreciate that, dude. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Can we get some love in chat for Macmillan once again? Another 10 community subs. Macmillan, I really appreciate you, dude. Thank you so much for that. At least 5 of you have access to the emotes now, so you should be thanking him. I see the sub. Thank you, bro. They have a poop hatch. I firmly believe Bane Bloodhoof just walks and shits. I know he's free balling it under that kit. I mean, he would do it like a cow does, right? There are outhouses, by the way. Have you ever seen anyone use the outhouse? Bloodhoof flapping his tail as he shits like a true cow. I mean, that would be a disturbing fucking look, right? Now, Elves and Ventura are kind of similar, though. I just have those vibes. I don't think similar. In one quest you do. Well, you use it, but not to poop. Imagine you're Anduin at his father's memorial, and suddenly you have to poop. What do? Oh my god, I just thought of it. Luna, you just gave me the best idea ever. So here it is. You're dressed in full metal armor, right? If you fought inside those metal pants, the fucking echo, people would hear it on the other side of Stormwind, dude. Like, if you just let out a little fart, just boop, it would be like fucking monstrous, like a megaphone kind of fart. I mean, how do you even do that? That would be the funniest shit ever. What do you think challenging shout is? It's just the warrior farting. There's no need to poo the Shadowlands. All bodily functions are on hold until you get back to Azeroth, and then it's all out at once. As soon as everyone gets back to fucking Orgrimmar or to Stormwind, they just shit themselves. Oh, imagine the stench, dude. Because yes, you're going to be the one smelling up all that poop. Like, as soon as you farted, all that poop is going to make its way up your armor, and it's going to waft. It's going to be a wafting thing. Like, just, oh, God, I have to remove this fucking helm now. Sound the alarm, the horse have sounded. God damn it, Jeff, not again. Don't forget the swamp ass next with it. Oh my god. Do you log this dialogue? Yeah, we do. Why do you think they had stilts in the visor? It for sure wasn't for vision, I tell you that much. Probably, because the vision on those things are fucking terrible. Do you think Lothraction will be the one to free Denathrius from the Sword Echo? Falvin, someone asked that earlier in the stream as well. I genuinely don't know. I don't know if they would leave. I don't know if they would leave their posts to come help. Hacklan, I watch your YouTube content all the time. I love it so much. Favorite WoW content? I always hear you mention Discord. How do I join the fun? Click on that streamer links. Your WoW player, how you doing, bro? Thank you so much. I'd really appreciate that. Welcome to the stream. Click on the streamer links. The Discord link is in there. And then you can join the fun. But I am busy setting up a locals page, guys. I'm busy setting up my locals page. It's gonna be fucking off the hook. No, not OnlyFans. Locals. join us. What is a locals page? Suffolk. So locals is actually, I'll show you quickly. It's what I wanted to do with the website, and sadly I couldn't get it done, right? Sadly I couldn't get it done. Now, for the most part, it's sort of like political. Like, a lot of people on there make political stuff. I don't really give a fuck about that. I like the concept of it, and it's not meant to be political because it's a complete... The lady I met with, for example, is Democrat. She was a Democrat, and she told me from the get-go, this is a social media page. They don't give a fuck about politics. It's meant to be just a place for people to hang out. But what I like about the concept, and what I'll show you guys in a second. Let me just log in here, and then I'll show you the concept. It's like Twitter, Discord, Patreon, almost all of it at once. Like, it is insane how good this works. So I'll quickly show you guys. All right, so this is the locals page, as you can see here. I'll quickly make it a little bit bigger. Now, I haven't posted anything here because I'm literally still setting everything up. There's sort of a lot of things that I have to do before it will actually function. But so you have the ability to upload videos on locals, and you have the ability to go live on locals specifically for your community. So the way this would work is you come to the community, you join the community. It's $5 a month. There's also the free version where you watch for free, but then you don't get everything else, right? You don't see everything on the channel or on the community, but it's $5 a month that you give to the channel, and it's a very good deal, especially if you want to support me. But locals, the community becomes the content. So it's not just your content, the community becomes the content. Because here's the thing, as soon as you pay that $5, you get this button as well. On my community, write a post. So let's say you have a theory that you want to share, or a meme that you want to share, or a joke that you want to fucking write. You write it on my community, and everyone else that's part of the community can see that. They can comment on it. They can like it. They can make their own posts in response to your post. And people can actually look through it and go, all right, I want to see only what Aquilon posts, or I want to see what only the community have posted. I want to see supporter only posts, or I want to see team member posts. When you're doing live streams, you can go live literally directly on here, and it sort of, it gives everyone the ability. Yeah, it's a paid echo chamber, if you will. But they don't really give a shit what you do or how you do it. As long as you don't have pornography, child pornography or stuff like that on it, they don't really give a shit. So yeah, this is in the process of setting this up, and I think it's going to be really cool. For anyone that's ever been on the Discord, and for anyone that's ever clicked on the Discord discussion, like the lore discussion, you'll know how many theories cross that single header every single fucking day. Like, just that one channel, there's so many theories being shared there. Now, this gives me the ability to give those people a voice where you can actually see everyone's theories. But more importantly, they're busy testing the ability for people to tip on posts. And you can then see how much money a post have generated. And it's very easy for me to go to any contributor and say, look, your post got $400. I'm willing to give you $200 of the $400. So you become a contributor of the community, right? Because people can tip posts as well. If you see a post that you generally love, you give $1 and you tip that the guy who made the post. So it really is a good system, in my opinion. And Jockey, thank you for the Prime sub, dude. Really fucking appreciate that. 3 months in a row. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, this isn't going to replace YouTube. It's not going to replace Twitch. I'm still going to be doing all the things that I do on YouTube and on Twitch. This is just, you guys know that we've wanted to set up the website for a very long time. And we've been unable to do so because there's so many restrictions, and it costs so much money to do exactly what I want to do with the website, which is what these guys are doing. That it it would take a while to get done. So if I can get this locals up and running, this will become our website for the foreseeable future until such time that we can actually afford to make our own website. I just quickly do... Sorry guys, I'm just quickly looking for... Alright, we've got another Q&A. For anyone that is interested, we're going to be watching the Lost Codex Q&A. Because I sort of feel like we have to. Everyone has told me to watch this, so why not? What would you suggest there? Is some already? I need to talk in there at some point. I only ever really talk to Cami about some theories. Natrush, you're always more than welcome. Do you think if the jailer is being controlled by death, the other leaders might not know that and still think he betrayed them? So the fact that it's only the Primus that calls him brother in my theory suggests to me that they all know. It's only the Primus that thinks he can still be saved. So the Primus believes that he can still save him, whereas the others do not believe that he can be saved, and therefore they don't call him brother anymore. To them, he is a monster. That at least is my belief at the moment. Of course, could be wrong. Anything can fucking happen. It really depends, right? Alright, so who wants to watch the Lost Codex Q&A? Who wants to see what lore secrets we can extract from the Lost Codex Q&A? I'm glad you guys feel like me, because I want to watch this as well. Just a quick disclaimer, even if you said you didn't, we'd probably still be watching it. That question was really rhetorical. Used to listen to the Lost Codex a while back. What do you think the guy was going to say? I don't know, Fallon. Like, I genuinely do not know. It could have been the Winter Queen. It could just have been, or it could have been that she needs to ask Yulun, her sister. It could just have been that they needed help from the Winter Queen, right? I genuinely don't know. Fix the right border of your chat box on the overlay. It cuts off later. Fuck me. Hold up. Might be able to fix that myself. Give me a sec. Alright, how's that? Working better? I need to start my potato bowls soon, so I hope it isn't a long vid. Potato bowls? Now that sounds interesting, Mary. I expect pictures. I don't know what a fucking potato bowl is, but it sounds yummy. All right, here we go. Apocalypse, that's fucking nasty.
So see, we're going to jump right into this. One of the major questions people had is, before we arrived in the Shadowlands, we were sort of...
Wait. I want to record this just in case we get something out of it. That was a long-ass fucking intro. 20, 31, 34 fucking seconds of intro. Jesus. All right.
So see, we're going to jump right into this. One of the major questions people had is, before we arrived in the Shadowlands, we were sort of wondering, how does the Arbiter, what her role was? And the big question here is, did the Arbiter ever send anyone directly into the Maw? Or did she always try to send them to Revendreth? Or was there anyone she kind of circumvented and said, no, you're just awful, and right to the Maw?
Yeah, that in the time before, when the Arbiter was functioned the way that she was supposed to, she would occasionally send those souls that were judged to be irredeemable directly to the Maw. If you look back at that cinematic that we did after you arrive in Oribos, that depicts the things the way they were, the way they were before. You'll see like souls coming into the top of Oribos, and most of them going out to the various afterlives. But there was like a trickle of souls kind of coming out that soul stream at the bottom that were intended to go to the Maw. But like,
we did sort of discuss this when we were watching this cinematic, sort of noting the same thing, right? So it's nice that it is being, it's being confirmed now. But we did note back when we first watched the cinematic together, that there is a small trickle, so to speak, of souls. The question is, what kind of souls, and how many of them? How many of them actually were sent to the Maw?
Vastly, it was most people were going to other afterlives, and then all that changed once the Arbiter was broken, and then everything started going through that soul stream. And in that cinematic, you see that intensify as she is no longer serving her function anymore.
Right. Okay. Question for you.
Just want to point out, just very quickly, once again, as we've done before, but if you look at this, does this not seem natural then? Once the Arbiter was brought down, the souls now enter into Oribos and they shoot straight to the Maw. That's the natural order. That's how it naturally should have been. Otherwise, wouldn't these souls just go everywhere? In my opinion, they would have just sort of gone wherever the fuck they could go, right? They would find holes and openings. Basically, you would have seen every single crevice of this Oribos just explode with souls, right? Souls just basically finding a way out wherever it can find a way out. The fact that it's funneling straight into the Maw suggests that either Oribos was placed there to divert souls from its natural place, or Oribos was always there, and it used to be that Oribos was built to funnel souls into the Maw to ensure that souls would all go to the Maw, and they changed it afterwards because of what Zuval did, whatever he did.
As she is no longer serving her function anymore.
Right. Okay. Question for you, Morgan, concerning about Torghast. Some of the Torghast abilities are just insanely fun and something that would be crazy broken in the open world. I was wondering if you could tease or hint to any upcoming Torghast abilities in 9.1, or even just comment on any of your favorite, most ridiculous Torghast abilities that you created or maybe didn't actually make it to live that were just kind of too crazy. Any comments on those?
Sure, yeah. Funny that you mentioned that. Okay. So when we were talking about the rune carving system, this is something that we introduced with the Shadowlands, where there was this rune carver who actually has a really interesting narrative backstory as well. And as you bring him memories, he kind of like remembers pieces of his past, and there's still more to be discussed there. But something that we were talking about when we were creating these new legendary powers was, hey, we just came up with like a bunch of really cool ideas for essentially cool powers for World of Warcraft classes in this Torghast feature. Are there any of those that we could get onto rune carving? So that's still a space that we're looking at for the Chains of Domination update, and especially as we look to update rune carving.
I know they probably never would do this, but the Demonology one that increases your pet damage by 100% every single time you ascend a floor, I would want that legendary. Like, the legendary could work something like every single time you move, it stacks and you get 500% increased damage for 15 seconds. At the end of that, your demon hits like a fucking truck with 500% increased damage, dude.
And add more legendary powers. One of the spaces we're looking is, so say those covenant-specific, the covenant-specific class powers that you get in Torghast, whether you're a demon hunter with the hunt, there's powers that really do really interesting things there. And that's one of my favorite ones, actually. I have a demon hunter friend I play with, and watching him just like zip around Torghast as he uses the hunt on literally every creature. I'm like, hey, slow down! Like, I'm way back here. It's very interesting to see what some of the builds that players have come up with that, and we always look to, as we're updating some other systems, to kind of draw inspiration from those, especially.
I just want to throw this out there based on his answer. I agree. There are some very interesting powers, right, within Torghast. I think every single class has at least one spec that feels pretty good about halfway through a Torghast run, and from there you just get more and more powerful. But then there are specs that really doesn't feel good at all. So take something like Affliction, for example. The powers that you get is fine, but it doesn't make you godlike. It doesn't make you feel like a god. It just sort of gives you something, it's okay, good, right? So I do think they need to work on that. They definitely need to work on some of the specs, giving them the ability to feel as godlike as their brother specs, right? Or their sister specs. So yeah, I feel like there's a lot of work for Blizzard to do, especially when it comes to Shadow Priest is, I think, a good example of this. Affliction Warlock is a good example of this, where for Affliction, for example, you get a power that increases your corruption by 100%, right? And also slows the creature for 60%. Now, if you stack that, sure, your corruption does start to hit quite a bit, but it doesn't feel good. You okay, fine, my corruption now hits like a truck, but it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel powerful or impactful. It just feels like, okay, this is, I guess, fine. Where I think things like Malefic Rupture would be better to buff, where the only real buff you have on Malefic Rupture is to make it not cost any soul shards. But it still doesn't hit as hard as some of the other classes within there. So I really do think Blizzard needs to take a long, hard look at making abilities that makes it fun, makes it ridiculous, and really makes you feel like, whoa, I'm a god at this point.
Awesome.
I love doing Torghast with a shaman along, because if you get the right power, it's like lust all the time. Just about. It's like every encounter is like boom, 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 hit my buttons as fast as I can. It's just so exactly. Awesome. I love the manic feel of that.
As a prop paladin and constantly throwing my shield like Captain America, it's never ending. It's so fun to watch my shield just bounce endlessly. So definitely looking forward to what's coming next. Steve, there's a lot of questions about the Drust, and in Battle for Azeroth, we learned that Gorak Tool, the leader of this sort of druidic death magic Vrykul cult, reached into the realm of Thros, and this is kind of where the Drust were born. But we hear in Ardenweald that the Drust have been a long-term enemy of Ardenweald. Does the Drust threat that they know predate Gorak Tool and Azeroth? And if so, how old is the Drust as like a
this is interesting,
or as an entity?
Well, as we know from playing a BFA, the Drust were a people that were alive at one time when the people who would be the Kultirans first came to those isles and started interacting with them, and the conflict that broke out as a result. So we've gotten some little bits of their history before. So, but it's that darkness that they tapped into, that kind of death-centered form of druidism that at the time of BFA, like that was a novel thing, right? Like we didn't think about druidism that way because it's been so tied with.
My problem with that is he still doesn't actually answer the question as to how long the Drust was actually there. Right? He still doesn't say, like, yes, we know that this was a race that was alive when the Kultirans, or the would-be Kultirans, finally arrived there. The problem is, how long were they there? Like, how long before the Kultirans did these Drust people live there? Because that's really, in my opinion, now, I think the reason they might not give that away, the reason maybe they don't want to tell us, is because that might be left for another patch or expansion. This is a story that we'll dive into much later. The thing is, so Gorak Tool was really the one that led them down the path of this this darkness, right? The dark version of druidism, if you will. We know of people like the Thorn Speakers who they did not go along with Gorak Tul, and they sort of recognized he's evil, even though they still use druid magic as death. There's this wonderful line from the bear in the cave. I can't remember what his name is now, but the Drust bear that helps you, where he explains that as life is a part of nature, so too is death. So the difference between life druidism and death druidism is null and void, because both of them are ultimately parts of nature. So the only difference is they've learned how to cultivate the death part of it, right? That's how they've basically figured it out. Now, did the sound go out? Okay, yeah. Bubba's no. From what I can see, my sound is still fine. Something that I think you can sort of compare it to is Shadow Priest. So for those of you that don't know the story of how Shadow Priests came into being, this was after the Forsaken freed themselves from Arthur's Menaful. They realized that they were abandoned by the light. Their connection to the light. Now remember, the denizens of Lordaeron were all, if not all, then most. So 95% to probably 99% of them were servants of the light. They were paladins, they were priests. This is what Lordaeron was known for. It was the city of light, so to speak. But now they're freed from Arthas, and for some reason, there's no connection to the light. The things that they could do before, they can no longer do. And so they sort of discovered this new sort of power within themselves that they could channel. Later on, they would learn how to, change and eventually accept the light back into them at great cost to themselves. Because when a Forsaken priest channels the light, it actually causes them physical agony. But they were the ones who created Shadow Priests, or Shadow Magic, so to speak, and figured out how to incorporate that. That's how Shadow Priests came into being. So death druidism is a similar thing. Most likely, as they were going down this path of Gorak Tul, realizing that they've gone too far, realizing that nature is no longer answering to them, they had to figure out how to get it from something else. And so they figured out how to make death magic or druid magic from death.
With the powers of life and the Emerald Dream and all that sort of thing. And then Ardenweald was a natural place to kind of explore that story further. And so we get to see that Druidism doesn't have to just be about that period of springtime and growth. It can also be, you tap into those powers of when nature lies fallow, and it needs to, it needs that period of kind of decay that fall and winter represent in the real world, in most places outside California, at least, where you can experience that change of seasons. And so we've learned that that Druidism.
He is really not answering this fucking question, is he? Like, it's good answers and it's good information, but the original question is not at all being answered in anything he fucking says. Because we're not really learning much about the Drust. We already knew that the Drust use death, right? And death magic to fuel druidism, so to speak. It's interesting that he explains it's the seasons. So your normal druid, the druids that we know on Azeroth, they would use spring and summer. When nature is at its peak, nature can provide all the different spells that you would possibly require. But then when nature goes into autumn and winter, you need a different kind of magic in order to tap into that field. And so now you get a sort of death field druidism. All of that's great. It still doesn't answer the question as to the Drust specifically, which just leads me further down this path of believing the next patch, either 9.2 or maybe 9.3, or even the next expansion might deal with the Drust. It feels like Blizzard is actively refusing to give us too much information about the Drust because they know at some point this is going to be at the forefront.
is about more than just life and growth. It's about this cycle between life and death. And I think the Drust went heavily into the dark aspects of that in order to try and win their fight. And that's what Gorak Tul went like a madman into that. And some of his own people, as you know, we've met some of the Thorn speakers who didn't agree with him and stood up to Gorak Tul. So that was just a really cool story to delve deeper into in Ardenweald because it felt so thematic. But yeah, the feeling that the Drust and Thros being one of those places that's kind of on the precipice of the Shadowlands, that's not quite fully a realm of death, but is certainly touched by it. That was a very interesting story to tap into.
Okay, now that was very interesting. Thros isn't really a realm of death. Now, we sort of already knew this. Remember, Thros is said to be in between life and death. That's the curse that the Drust suffer. They're neither dead nor alive, but they're not really undead either. They are legitimately stuck between realms. So Thros is not a realm of death. It's not a realm of life. So what realm is it and where is it? Could that be what the next expansion or maybe the next patch is going to be?
And we'll continue to have little hints and things about that as the story unfolds.
My follow-up question to that was asking if Thros was an afterlife in the Shadowlands, and you sort of asked that at the very end there. Will we, each sort of realm tends to have a sort of deity of power, will we learn of any specific person or force from Thros, or was it just kind of a force that Gorak Tul kind of became the prime of? That we assume or know he's dead at this point, but was there a higher being he was reaching out to?
There was no other like eternal one that he was specifically tapping into there. Okay. I think it was just the because of them, using, harnessing that magic with such.
That would have been so cool if there was maybe another eternal one that we didn't even know about that he was reaching out to get his power.
For such intensity, that's what really made Thros kind of teeter on the brink there. There's overtones of the nightmare as well, which is, when you think about it, it's yet another variation of that cycle and that balance. It's just the the void touched version of that. So Thros was kind of on the precipice of a lot of those confluences, but no, not something that was fully in the Shadowlands. It was just ripe with power that Gorak Tul and his followers were able to tap into to use for some very bad dark.
Okay. Now that is interesting. So Thros was not only, sort of on the outskirts of what we would consider nature magic, so in other words, death nature, if you will, but also on the outskirts of shadow and the nightmare. So where the old gods sort of touched. So when you're thinking about Thros and what it is, it's almost the opposite of the Emerald Dream. It's almost literally one for one the opposite of what the Emerald Dream is. Where the Emerald Dream is very much nature and almost a light sort of order to it. You have Thros, which is the shadow version of that, not the nightmare. Steve Denuser did say it was void touched. It isn't the nightmare. But it is sort of, if the Emerald Dream is where life goes, or where life comes from, then Thros should be where death comes from. Or at least death nature comes from.
Reasons.
Got it. Back over to you, Morgan, for Torghast. Torghast is one of my favorite parts about Shadowlands. As someone who wasn't really interested in the roguelike gameplay, I was amazed as to how much time I've spent in Torghast. And one of the criticisms that's come out of the community is the sort of replayability in terms of rewards. Obviously, the mount and the toys that you get from the layers are great. But in comparison to the island expeditions in Battle for Azeroth, there was dozens of transmog weapons, sets, mounts, cosmetics. Is there any plans or sort of thought process maybe to bring this more widespread reward pool to Torghast. I love spending hours there, but it's sort of a little bit disheartening to leave after a 3-hour run and kind of leave with nothing in hand, even if it was just for cosmetic, not even in terms of power gain. So any thoughts there?
Absolutely. That is definitely an area that we have also heard from the community, given us a lot of feedback on, and is something that we want to improve on. Torghast in particular is a feature that I think has gone through a tremendous amount of iteration, primarily driven by the community. We saw it very early on added to the Shadowlands alpha and beta, and there are major features that we thought were going to be in Torghast that were completely revisited and reimagined based on player feedback. Like the idea of a timer. We had heard very strong feelings about
the same thing yesterday.
Or, whether or not it would be a keyed event similar to Horrific Visions, where you needed to earn a key to make a run every week. These are things that we have changed dramatically based on player feedback. So the areas that we're really looking at are those, like you said, if I'm in there for however long it might take to do, a layer 8 or, further layers in the Chains of Domination, and, maybe I mess up one too many times, or shoot, I've fallen off those tiny chains so many times that I like had runs end.
Fuck those chains. They clip, and for some reason, those chains can actually just send you flying. Like, you'll run right in the middle of a chain, and then just suddenly it goes, boop. Peace out, bro. And you're like, oh, for fuck's sake. How? It's gotten to the point where I refuse to go on the fucking chain. Like, I will not. I can see a power up there, and I'd be like, not worth. This is not worth the risk. The risk is just too high. That chain is going to fuck me, and I know it, right? So they have to fix those clipping issues with the chains. It really isn't worth it. So yeah, I hope they'll fix the chains. I'll just say what I said yesterday, because this is sort of, he's giving the exact same answer he gave in yesterday's Q&A that we watched with both Balula and with Warcraft Radio. Torghast needs to have a shit ton more rewards. The rewards need to be more random. So as a general rule, I am not a fan of RNG. But when it comes to things like cosmetic rewards, mounts, things like that, I feel there's two ways to go about it. Way number one is to give your player a very difficult road, right, in order to get that thing. And when they unlock it, they go, fuck yeah, I have this. This is amazing. Way number two is to make it random. So in other words, every boss you kill at the end of every floor has the chance of dropping a transmog item or a mount or a pet or something that makes it worth being there, that rewards you at the end of every floor, feeling like you actually got something amazing, right? Or feeling like at least you didn't waste your time in there. I do not believe that. I think they should remove... well, Andy, I hate RNG when it comes to actual power levels. When it comes to cosmetical items, I don't think RNG is a bad thing. In places where you can give people a goal that they need to work for and work hard to get that goal. Like, I don't know if you guys remember all the way back in Cataclysm, right? If you remember back in Cataclysm, there was... what was that zone again? Fuck my life. How's that zone not in my mind right now? Literally just above Ogrimmar. What? Why am I blank on this? Not the Molten Front, no. Literally just above, not Ajara, no. The tree is there, Nordrassil is there. Oh my god, what the, Hyjal. Fuck my life. Alright, for some reason, Hyjal just did not want to stick. But anyways, if you go to Hyjal, right, there's that burnt area that's completely fucked. And then there's like this little corner, it's just sort of hidden away, right, with a trampoline on it. How many of you remember that trampoline? There was an achievement attached to that trampoline. You needed to jump on the trampoline 20 times without it ever stopping, and then you would get an achievement, right? Right at the end of it. Yeah, like the bear stuff that you had to do, So once you got that achievement from the trampoline, you felt fucking amazing. You were like, oh my God, I did it. I've done it. This is amazing. Maybe it was easier for people with lower MS, but at 250 MS, there was sort of a thing where once you jump up, right? Once you jump up, when you land, you had to sort of very quickly run forward so that it would push you back up. If you just landed, it would be too long and it wouldn't count. So you had to sort of game it so that you could actually, with your high MS, get it done. So you could keep fucking going up in the air. That's sort of one way that you can do cosmetics and achievements and things where you give sort of puzzles and things for people to figure out, and when they do it, they get it done and it feels amazing, and they have that sort of eureka moment, but also that sort of never fucking again moment. Or you do it RNG, where you might get something, you don't know if you're going to get something, but when you do get that something, it's sort of amazing, it's sort of fun, and you don't feel as if you've wasted all of your time. So that's my 2 cents on the Torghast thing. Let's keep watching.
Because I just fell off the chain, and the Terror shows up, sweeps me out, and then it's like, well, that was like 40 minutes, and I got literally nothing.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned, that's an area that other roguelikes we're very inspired by and are looking to, where there are things that you can earn or power that you can gain, almost as like a meta progression power as you.
He did not say this yesterday, and this is exactly what I fucking talked about in my Torghast video. When I did the video just before BlizzCon, I don't think many of you saw it. It didn't do as well as expected. Non-lore videos don't do that well on the channel. But this is exactly what I was saying. In regular roguelike games, every run that you do is designed to make you fail at some point. But it doesn't matter because every run makes you stronger from the get-go. And this is what World of Warcraft Torghast requires. It needs a system, be it a talent system, be it almost an artifact system, but a system that as you progress through Torghast, you unlock permanent rewards that make you stronger from the get-go on the first floor as soon as you enter into it, right? You unlock these incredible powers that just makes you more and more powerful, and you can keep adding every patch, right? So every patch you can add more of these artifact powers that you unlock as you go through the game. Again, it will definitely feed into this I'm not wasting my time every single run, and it will go a hell of a long way, in my opinion, of turning Torghast into a game within the game. So rather than Torghast feeling like something you have to do in order to play World of Warcraft, you'll do Torghast if you love it, only because you like it. You wouldn't give a shit about anything that you can get in there. You just love this game, and you just want to play this game. That's it. You don't even care about WoW at this point. All you give a shit about is playing this Torghast within WoW.
Complete runs or fail a run. You might earn a currency or unlock a new ability that is now going into the pool of powers that you can find within that run. So that's very much an area of focus for us with Chains of Domination within Torghast. Kind of is Chains of Torghast. Anyways,
it works.
Is that feeling that if I'm not able to complete this, I'm still getting something for it.
Does anyone else get the idea that Steve Denuder is very bored with this conversation? He's just sort of sitting there, not even laughing at the jokes, just sort of like, can we get back to the lore shit now? I don't care about this anymore.
That partial progression. Not only that, but also just taking a step back and looking at completion times. When you think about activities in World of Warcraft, there's that kind of sweet spot we try to hit, whether it be a dungeon that's about 30 minutes or some of these other activities that you've mentioned. And we feel like some Torghast runs, especially when prior to, the major nerfs that we did, I forget, a while ago now, a few months back, it feels like. Time right now is weird. But prior to those major nerfs, it could take upwards of an hour to get towards the end of one of those more difficult layers. So we ended up just taking a huge nerf pass at the entire experience because we felt like, it just feels really bad to lose, and we don't have a mechanism here to make it feel like you can get some sense of progression, even on a run that you might lose. So let's take a really deep look at that problem space and see what we can come up with for Chains of Domination.
I think I should also add here, once you have that sort of progression system and a reward system that doesn't require finishing the run, because again, I just want to iterate, if we're looking at true roguelike experiences, they're not actually meant to be finished, right? They're designed to keep you from finishing it as long as humanly possible. So, you know, once you get to that, you can actually make Torghast runs last a very long time. So now you have all the freedom in the world to make floors that is extremely vast, extremely complicated, with a lot of puzzles in between. You know that when you enter into Torghast, of course, what I'm talking about here is you remove the power aspect. So people don't get soul ash from these Torghast runs. This is just for fun. So basically the Twisting Corridors version of it. Now, once you have that, you can make it a lot more fun. But I think then you can also add, and this is something that Torghast, I think, in my opinion, desperately needs, it requires the ability to explore. Right now, it doesn't, you don't explore at all, right? It's very linear in how it's designed. And I would prefer the ability to explore the world, explore the place, and maybe discover some secrets along the way. You know, maybe if you do go off to the side where most likely there is nothing, you discover a chest or a secret power or a secret boss that gives you a secret power. Things like this, I think, is genuinely worthwhile.
I'm definitely looking forward to see what comes out of that. As I said earlier, the sort of the replayability of the islands with all the cosmetics. If I could run Torghast for cosmetics for days, I would never leave. I would never see the new zones because I would spend so much time there. Steve, I got a question for you in terms of necromancy. I'm going to use Thoris Trollbane as an example. Thoris Trollbane was dead for quite some time, at least in terms of human years. So let's say he passes on to the Shadowlands and he progresses through the Shadowlands, whether he went to Maldraxxus or Bastion, but then he was ripped back into the world as a Death Knight. How does that work, both on the Shadowlands side, and let's say he was a Kyrian or any Kyrian, for example, and they did become ascended and they cast their memories aside. When they get ripped back to the mortal life, do they still have those memories lost? Obviously, they won't remember the Shadowlands, but how does that work? I know there's kind of a couple.
I just want to point out, before we even watch the answer here, Steve Denuser in an interview, I think it was with SA Gamer, could have been with another magazine, but Steve Denuser did already touch on this. You do not. Maybe he goes into why, but for some reason, necromancy wipes the memories before it's attached again. So I think the way I would explain it is your mind is still on Azeroth, right? Your mind did not go with you to the Shadowlands. So once your soul is ripped back, the mind sort of rejects any memories that comes with the soul. And so the mind does not retain those memories. That's how I would explain it, at least. We can hear now what he's going to say and how that works. Maybe they changed their minds on it, but I do remember making the video talking about this specific point, and sort of wondering why.
Questions in that one question, but necromancy is weird.
Well, yeah, necromancy is weird, and you know, at its underlying thing, its function is kind of a mirror to the way that natural life works, right? Like natural life, someone's born, they're you know, in Warcraft cosmology at least, their soul is bound to this body and it's kept there and it's building up anima. And the necromantic version it's just a different power. It's the power of death that's binding them to this form. And so different rules, but like a similar principle. I mentioned in the Q&A about how time really is kind of perceived differently in the Shadowlands because it is a place that's about eternities and it's not about measuring time one way or another. And there's certainly an effect of when a soul crosses the veil that it, you know, because we've encountered lots of people who have been brought back to life after, you know, some of them very recently, some of them for very long times. Mm-hmm. But we can presume that, you know, according to the rules of the universe, their souls would have crossed the veil, gone to the Shadowlands, and then there's this power that's kind of pulling them back. When someone is raised like that, it's not like a copy or an echo. It is their spirit coming back. But I think of that as, and again, this is very, kind of ephemeral. It's not like a scientific thing that you can lay out. But the way I think of it is that even if that soul is pulled back and it kind of forgets what is happening, or happened to it in the course of the Shadowlands, when it comes back into that body, it's still got that tether to kind of what's going on in its existence in the Shadowlands. And again, because it's not a one-for-one, like time is not really a factor there. I think you could think of it as like almost a second life in a way for someone who is raised like that, or a continuation with the Shadowlands side, almost like a little bit on pause, or just kind of waiting for that tether to re-kick back in and kind of pull them back, to that fate. Certainly it's...
That doesn't really... Okay, that was perfect pausing, by the way. Look at his face there. Look at Morgan Day's face. Just that was perfect. But it doesn't really answer the original question, because the original question is, do they have any memories? Right? Like, do they have any memories of what just happened to them? And I mean, sure, I get it. Your life is on pause now there. But if they did have memories, then surely we would have had someone like Jaina's brother. He would have remembered his time in the Shadowlands, right? He would have known what was going on there.
It's, when you think about the long history of Azeroth and the other worlds there and so forth, the number of people who have been raised as undead is nowhere near as great as the number that just crossed over and stayed there. So, regardless of how many players play as Forsaken, for example, in the cosmic scheme of things, undeath in that way is a fairly limited pool. So it's not as if there's this infinite, this vast number. It's a certain number of those tethers that maintain. And I imagine that people like that could get called back and kind of resume the path that they were on. But it's an interesting question to what would happen if things that they did in that kind of second existence of undeath might affect their judgment and things like that. I think
I'm having a mental image of someone, let's say like Lady Vosh being resurrected, and a bunch of Maldraxxus are just talking to her, and then she just vanishes from Maldraxxus because she gets resurrected, and just this sort of this like where'd she go kind of thing. But since we're talking about Maldraxxus, I'm going to leave that into the next question. We see in Bastion and Revendreth sort of the early steps for what souls go through when they first arrive. Primarily when we first arrived, but in Maldraxxus, it's just a cluster fudge. We dive right into the arena fight, so we don't really see the early steps for souls. So, are you able to elaborate or explain what happens when a fresh soul arrives in Maldraxxus? Do they get to, how do they go about getting a body? Do they choose their body? And the example I have here is Vash arrives or says she had a Kaldorei body when she arrived in Maldraxxus, but she opted for her Naga form. Was that something she had to earn or work towards? How does finding a body in Maldraxxus work?
Yeah, thinking about the way that Maldraxxus worked, again, before the drought set in, before souls were being funneled to the maw, the way that it was supposed to work, think back to even when the Primus was still there and the five houses were still, they were intentionally kind of vying against one another, but it was a more controlled version than what we see when we arrive there. So the process would have been those souls still coming into that arena, like that was the place. But, imagine the Margraves of the houses kind of looking down into this battle of these new souls coming in, showing what they have, basically, like kind of proving themselves in this ground, and then them saying, I like that one. I think that one should come to my house. And maybe they might argue over which house it should go to. And the Primus would say, okay, that one goes here, that one goes here, that kind of thing. And there would be based on what your soul was like. And someone, if they're just like this juggernaut of a warrior, then it's they probably end up going to the House of the Chosen, but someone who is very kind of manipulative or deceptive and uses treachery and guile to advance up that ladder, then there's cases to be made for other places that they might go to. Certainly, things like the House of Eyes might have been a choice, or even the House of Rituals. Some of those, like Kel'Thuzad, we see
Arkil, how you doing, bro?
Getting pulled into that. So, and then there's that process of Maldraxxus is very much a meritocracy. So it's getting there is one thing, and it's kind of like your past was important to show what your potential was, but it's like starting a new job. It's like, well, whatever you did before, that's cool, but now prove yourself today and every day. And that's what Maldraxxus is really about, of like the best souls, like climbing that ladder. So you can imagine someone arriving and being given like a very basic kind of form that they can inhabit. And then based on their victories or their losses, getting upgrades or downgrades to that body. We've seen those little kind of scrawny leftover abominations and stuff. And that's like, man, people just didn't work out. You get the scraps now, and that's where you're at. Whereas someone like Draka, someone like Vash, who was able to work their way up the ladders very quickly, they were in a position where they could start making some choices and saying, I want to start shaping my flesh this way. Maldraxxus as a whole place is all about flesh shaping and the resources given to the soldiers there to become the best army they can. So if you're successful, you're given some latitude in order to decide your form a little bit. But again, if you just don't prove yourself, then those choices kind of dissipate pretty quickly.
Gotcha.
That's quite interesting. In Ardenweald, you get to choose your form pretty much from the beginning. Like you are a blue little creature, but you get to choose how you want to be represented, what you want to look like. And then, of course, for some reason, all of them want to be fucking animals. In Ravendwraith, you just look like a vampire for some reason. Most of them are ghosts, actually, like almost spirits that's being sucked dry. And then, of course, in Maldraxxus, you have this, the creation of yourself, which is actually pretty cool, right? It just makes me love the Maldraxxus way so much more, where your power and your prestige, so to speak, within Maldraxxus decides what you want to look like. Do you want to look like you used to look, or do you want to look different? How do you want to present to the world? So I kind of like that. I really like that, and I think it gives us some insight into people that were very proud of who they were in life, like, for example, Lady Vash and Draka, right? They were proud of who they were, and so they wanted to look the same. They didn't want to change how they present to the world. And then you probably have characters and creatures who, for example, Emily. Emily is a good example of a character that, wanted to be just more powerful. And so she made this giant construct that could just smash everyone.
Morgan, a couple questions on transmog. We saw early in the beta that there was potential for individual shoulder transmog pieces, and that kind of sparked a lot of interest in the community, but it never made it to live in 9.0. Is that still on the table? Can you comment on individual shoulder transmogging and if it's coming or not?
You know what? This is a great question. I am going to follow up on this one because I know that was something that we were really aiming to get done for Shadowlands launch, but that one in particular we knew might have, there's a lot of history to draw from with our transmog sets, and there were some very asymmetrical shoulder pieces that were crafted with, never thinking towards, okay, well, am I going to be able to have, this left shoulder and this right shoulder? So I know sometimes that could cause some really bad clipping or some other issues, and that's definitely something that we've heard the feedback. We know people want that, and I will follow up with that. And if Josh can remind me, I will try to actually get you a better answer to that, because I think that is a really cool feature that we know the players are excited about, and I imagine we're still doing our best to make progress towards that.
I don't think it's fair, in my theory, to say that they don't care about it either. You have to think of it, what Morgan Day just explained there, right? You have to think of it in terms of, you have this game with 16 years worth of history. That means so much so many different types of shoulder pads and so many different types of colors and so many different types of makes and builds and different functionalities within them. If you think back to some of the shoulder pads that you used to get during TBC, during Wrath, where the shoulder pads would have moving particles on them. There was the one mage set that had sort of lava flowing on it. Now you try to think, what would how would these shoulder pads work with other shoulder pads? And you can sort of start to realize, right, that this is a hell of a lot of work, right? So I don't think they're coming on an interview being asked about a shoulder transmog for like the 5th interview is all I mean. They're already working on it. I get what you're saying. Apocalypse, take care of yourself, dude. Now the mod god is leaving.
Awesome. A follow-up to that would be in Battle for Azeroth, we saw a ton of restrictions removed, both with like invisible gloves in the chest and the wrists. Is there any talks of any further development, specifically maybe with weapons? We know priests can't really use swords, or pole arms for casters. Or the big one for me is going to be a joke in the comments, warglaives, and how the warglaives, they're an iconic demon hunter weapon, yet all of the models in game are the most beautiful, elegant. Not that demon hunters aren't beautiful or elegant, but the most iconic night elf weapon in the game. The tri-blade that's been in the game since Warcraft 3 is only wieldable by the banished demon-infused night elf class, as opposed to hunters or rogues or warriors. So is there any talks of weapon restriction or just transmog restrictions being removed or loosened a little bit in general?
Nothing new on that front really to announce today. We definitely did want to take a big step back when we were, developing the Shadowlands. And like you mentioned, there's been a whole lot of progress made there, from being able to transmog your artifact again to,
great change.
Lots of other restrictions that were kind of lifted from, there's so many, I remember gray items that people back in the day were like, this is a kind of a very simple, elegant looking weapon. I really want to transmog this, but it's gray, so I can't. And we have taken a lot of looks at things like that and are always looking to improve that. The weapons one in particular, that one's tough. I feel like that kind of shares a similar space as being able to, as a caster, being able to transmog into plate. Like there's something with the silhouette, with the immediate read of the gameplay that we want to be careful not to tread too much on. Like it's very important for us that when I look at you, I have a sense of what you might be, or at least that it's not misleading, right? If I saw, another character walking around with warglaives, immediately I'm like, well, that's got to be a demon hunter. If it's not, that there's a difference between, some not getting enough information from looking at a transmog versus feeling like I was misled by a transmog for PvP purposes and things like that. So that's definitely something we try to be careful with and are always looking to make changes to, as we know that how players express themselves is a really, really important part of World of Warcraft, and we're constantly striving to make improvements there, whether it be character customization, adding new options to change the way that you look, and also transmogs.
Yeah, I get.
Charmonster, I think the point he's trying to make here is, even if you have lookalike sets, right? You see a certain set, and at least from the get-go, this is a caster or this is a melee character. The problem comes in when I look at you, you're decked out in fucking plate, wielding a sword and a shield, but suddenly you start casting dots on me. And I'm like, what the fuck is this sorcery? There's a tank casting dots? How is this even working, right? So I get what they're trying to do, and I also think it's important, right? I think it's important for class identity that classes have that sort of, this is my stuff, only my class can use this stuff, and this is cool, right? So I think there is always a danger when it comes especially to things like this, where players will keep asking for everything. Let's not forget that some of the worst decisions World of Warcraft has ever made wasn't because the developers thought it would be cool, it's because they listened to the player base. Now, I'm not saying the player base is wrong, not by any stretch of the imagination. The player base will always ask for stuff because it's not the player's job to think through the unintended consequences of the stuff that they're asking for. The player's job is just to ask for stuff. It is up to the developer to say, okay, wait a second. If we do X, what does Y, Z, A, B, and C look like? If we do this thing, how does it change everything else in the rest of the game? And I think the developers are doing a good job of it in this instance, where they are going, hold on, we realize that you guys are asking for all of this, but there's a lot of things that's going to go, that's going to change because of this single thing that you as the player isn't meant to think about, because it's not your job to think about it. But as the developer, I should be thinking about this, and this is not a good idea. So personally, I can fully understand what they're saying. I fully understand why they're saying what they're saying. I don't have a problem with it one way or the other.
And I can assure you that, for as often as topics like this, whether it's the ability for a certain class to get a certain thing, or whether, some gray things could be usable, those same topics come up on the team all the time, because we're just as passionate about the way our characters look as the community is. And so we have all kinds of discussions ongoing on a regular basis about that sort of thing. And there is, very much the intent, as Morgan said, like to give more options when they make sense and when a good time for them is. But we'll keep discussing and working on that front.
Fingers crossed, specifically for the Warglaives. That's a big thing for me. So I'm glad to hear, especially with the gray weapons and all that. Steve, I know there is a juicy new book coming up, written by you and Sean Copeland. Is there any little gem teaser tidbit that you can just drop right now, just to sort of tickle the lore nerds out there, that we're going to go, oh man, I want to know more?
Well, yeah, this book was a lot of fun, called The Grimoire of the Shadowlands and Beyond. It was a great privilege to work with
thank you very much, dude. Really appreciate
Sean
that.
Copeland. We had a great time. He's an awesome friend and just a great resource for the team. So it was a joy to work on this. And the book is written from the point of view of a broker. And this broker is kind of cataloging on behalf of his cartel information on things like, everything from Azerothian funeral rites to some of the races, like talking about them, talking about the influence that the mortals have had on the Shadowlands, and giving his perspective on the different realms of death and the events that have unfolded. He makes a lot of mention of how, it sure seems like people from this Azeroth world seem to have a very special part to play in all of this, and how the names of these heroes keep coming up time and again, despite all these other worlds of existence, and Azeroth only being one of them. So there's lots of really cool stuff to dig into there. And my favorite thing that I think you and other lore-focused folks will really hone in on is that there is a chapter at the end of the book where our narrator delves into the nature of the universe and the mysteries of the first ones. And he talks about the broker's efforts to uncover some of those secrets. And he gives what I'll say is a unique perspective on cosmology, and perhaps presents another way of thinking about the relationship between these forces. So I think it's going to definitely be a lot of fun.
The reason why this book is perhaps going to be one of the best books is because it's actually written by an impartial party. Now, don't get me wrong, the brokers have their own wants and needs, but the brokers aren't interested in a Titan perspective or a Void perspective or a Foul. We've seen this, right? All they really give a shit about is profit, so to speak. They just care about information. They are brokers. They're brokers of information. That's all they really give a shit about. As to their own sort of leanings, at least based on everything we've learned so far, they genuinely don't have a sort of dog in any fight. They will sell to anyone that wants it. They will buy from anyone that wants to sell. They genuinely don't care who wins. So unlike the Chronicles, that was very much written from a Titan perspective with the Titan sort of narrative and whatever the Titans wanted us to know, the brokers don't give a shit what the Titans want us to know or what the Shadowlands wants us to know. They don't care. For them, it's more just about the information that they've gathered so far. So this is going to be one hell of a book.
For people who...
And it has been confirmed, I believe yesterday we watched the Q&A where they did say there is a new map within this book. There is actually a new cosmological map within the Grimoire of the Shadowlands.
Read the book.
Okay.
I personally love brokers. I think they're amazing. We have had
They're one of the coolest new races in Shadowlands.
I mean, they're just awesome, and I love their personality. But on top of that, we also,
Alex,
when you get to engage with them in combat, and when you find them, like in Zymox, in Castle Nathria, they're all about portals. Which as we talk about things like from an encounter perspective, that's always super fun to play around with, right? Like, oh, you can just teleport, like that's fun. But with Chains of Domination, there also there's a fantastic opportunity to explore more about the brokers and their culture and their ecology and their history and motivations, as Steve mentioned, as we're adding a new mega dungeon, Tazavesh, the Veiled Market, which is going to be all about brokers. And it's an 8-boss dungeon where actually I think 6 of the 8 are you going to be fighting in different portions of this Veiled Market. And there's just all kinds of zany areas as you are progressing through here and learning more about the different cartels. You're learning more about, what their influences are, but there's also just opportunities for, brevity.
I'm going to be interested to see the reasons we fight them. Extra Live TV, how you doing? Why are we fighting them? Right? Because, like I said, the brokers doesn't appear to be aligned with anyone. They don't seem to bother anyone. They just want information. So what exactly is it that is going to be the driving force? Now, they did say that there's going to be this final boss where it's actually a heist and we're trying to steal back relics of Azeroth. Is that the motivation? Is that why we're going in there? Doesn't that then lead to us pissing off the brokers and sort of, maybe the brokers now seeing us as enemies because we've taken their shit? How exactly does any of this play out?
And just things that are much more lighthearted, as we see in the World of Warcraft universe. There's such a wide range of things to explore, and one of my favorite things with the Veiled Market is there's actually an encounter that takes place in a post office. And the post office, because we talk about portals and they're all about collecting things and storing things away. And what would a post office in one of these locations look like? Spoilers, there's probably some portals in there, but what kind of cool mechanics can we dive into, as well as stories that we would learn from these locations. So I am super excited about that book to learn more about them, as well as experiencing them in the Veiled Market.
Question for you, Steve. Auchindoun, how does the Mausoleum of the Dead on Draenor impact the Shadowlands, and specifically the Draenei soul magic? We see that their robots in Shatrath and Argus had souls in them. So were the Eridar pre-Legion and the Draenei sort of circumventing the eventual fate of souls? How does that work?
Well, one of the, it's not a major plot point of Shadowlands that you need to understand in order to know what's going on there. But there's one of the things that's kind of hinted at and mentioned here and there is that, the pattern of a mortal existence ending and their soul, being ushered across the veil by those Kyrian watchers. The part of the Watcher's decision point is wait a minute, is there some force that's tethering them, that's anchoring them to the mortal plane, and or some force that's interfering for whatever reason in the process of this? That's the case with Bridenbrad, who was in Northrend. Here's this paladin who died, and then Naru intercedes and says, wait a minute, I'm going to put a kibosh on the process here, and I'm going to anchor you. I'm going to take you to the light, even though your soul would have crossed over otherwise. And so there's things like that with, with some of the spiritual races of
we have the Una questline as well. That's basically the same thing, right? In the Una questline, you also help her find her parents, and then eventually you see the light intervene and take her away, right? Or take them away. So this goes back to the thing that Steve Denduda said in the previous interview, once again, where he did say that with enough power, the different cosmological forces can absolutely interfere with how or where your soul goes. So it's sort of interesting, but now the question becomes, how did the Draenei on Draenor, how did they have that much power? What do you mean I'm ignoring my paranoia about the brokers, Isilith? I'm definitely not.
Azeroth, where they can kind of forge some of those tethers, and they might not think of it that same way of like, oh, there's Kyrian Watchers and I'm doing this. It's just through the nature of their beliefs, their spirituality, the powers that they channel, and I think even on you know, in the case of the original Eridar back on Argus, I think same thing. They just, through their inherent magics, they were able to kind of tether some of those souls, tie them to those devices, and at least temporarily keep them from crossing over into the Shadowlands.
So I'm not saying we can trust the broker. I'm saying we can trust him more than the Titans. And I don't think it's fair to say that we can't trust the brokers. It's more a case of we can't trust their motivations. They themselves, they want to make money. They want information. Well, they don't even want to make money. They want information. That's pretty much all they give a shit about. What their ultimate motivations are, we don't know. But we do know that their motivations do not lie with any of the cosmological forces. We see this in the Shadowlands. They sell items to Kalthazard to bring down effectively the fucking the Shadowlands, right? To open the way for Zuval, and they couldn't give two shits that that's what he wants to do. He asked, and he was willing to pay, and they're happy to do it, right? That's it. They're happy to do it. If he's willing to pay for it, they'll give him whatever he asked for. So they're more trustworthy than the Titans, but at no point must we believe that they're that if they help us, that they're helping us because they want us to succeed. At no point do I believe that. That's why I always say Venari cannot be trusted. Venari isn't in the mall to help us. She's just not. She's there to help herself, and we're helping her help herself. That is it. Naru might help Draenei with keeping souls. It might be Naru. Tal'Darim the cat, you're actually correct. It could be a Naru's influence that helps. Of course Venari wants something. She's a broker. Yeah, she absolutely wants something. She doesn't tell us, of course. But she does want something.
Perfect. Quick question for, I know a lot of the role players are asking this, but the portal in Oribos is canonically attached to Orgrimmar and Stormwind. We see Grifta, the necklace seller, show up. Talia and Callie arrive. So does this mean that anyone can just kind of walk into the Shadowlands? And kind of a reverse question, can a Venthyr just go take a stroll into the Mage District? Or is there some sort of little restriction with the guards there? Like, people are coming through, but, you know, you can't take a field trip to Oribos.
Yeah, those portals, you know, we always put portals by necessity for gameplay reasons to go to the places wherever they are, you know, and thinking even, you know, back to Cataclysm, some of those portals that took you to very disparate places and all of that sort of thing. So, you know, by and large, the portal rooms in Orgrimmar and Stormwind are meant to be a player, you know, a gameplay device to do that. But that said, you know, we have shown some characters like Grifta cross over, but kind of think of the fiction there as like they would have had to have gone to some trouble to make that happen. Like they would have probably had to talk to the Death Knights, or, you know, to get a little help to, you know, to open up some kind of gateway through there, or maybe mages, you know, thanks to some of the things that Jaina has helped them understand. Maybe they could have deciphered some of those ways, but it's not like the average citizen can just like, oh, hey, there's a portal. What should I do? I'll click on that. And suddenly this farmer is running around the Shadowlands. They could, you know, there's some effort there and some decision-making that, like, you know, we don't.
I mean, if you are a farmer and you happen to get yourself into Ardenweald, that's some fertile land, isn't it? Like, you could grow some crazy fucking crops right there, right? But yeah, at the end of the day, I get what he's saying here. And it's similar to the resurrection argument that we've done before. Basically, anything that is meant for gameplay is almost never canonical.
Need to narrativize every moment of that, but you could assume that in a story sense that there's a barrier to entry. And from the other side, beings that are bound to the cosmic realms cannot just on a whim come through. There is again.
Wait a second. He did say beings that are bound to the cosmic realms cannot just come in on a whim. He didn't just say that the beings of the Shadowlands. So then what does that make things like the demons? Because they definitely seem to be able to just come in. Arnie, thank you for the prime sub, dude. Really fucking appreciate that. Welcome to the Fat Fuckers Club. Thank you, thank you, thank you. What does that make the demons? Is the demons then not of the cosmological force of chaos? Or maybe the demons is the creation of the cosmic forces of chaos inside reality to ensure that they could stay there. And then what about the titans that claim that they're of order? They also seem to be capable of moving in and out as much as they want. The Naru is the same thing. They seem to be capable of moving in and out as much as they want. So then the ultimate question becomes, what exactly are these creatures when it's clear, according to Steve the Newserier, that beings that are tied to the cosmological forces cannot just move in and out on a whim? So the in-between could be linked to foul energy. The demons got help from Ajara or Gul'dan, did they not? Well, the demons were in reality already. They got help being summoned to Azeroth, but they were in reality already. Remember, they were destroying multiple worlds before they arrived on Azeroth. So could they be creations? So basically you have, say, the Lords of Chaos, and the Lords of Chaos understand that they can't just make their own armies march into reality. So rather than marching their armies into reality, instead they create beings inside reality that is sort of frames of theirs. Just sort of throwing that out there.
Something about once you are bound and in those cosmic realms, it takes a concerted effort to be able to cross those boundaries. That's why things like, the Legion invasions, while they've attacked Azeroth many times, it wasn't just, let's hop on the bus and drive over there. It's like, okay, how do we get the gateways open? How do, we need to use the Well of Eternity, or we...
No, but that doesn't answer the question, Steve the Newser, because the Legion have been destroying worlds in reality. So, yes, they would need a portal to get to Azeroth because it's a great big distance to travel, but it doesn't explain how they fucking destroyed any of the other worlds. Unless, of course, we're saying, or he is not telling us, that Azeroth is the only planet in reality, and all the other planets is sort of not in reality. Well, we know sort of that they can make their own, right? We know that they can make portals. So if they can send someone to Azeroth sort of ahead of time, and that person will build the portal for them, right? I just don't think he's answering the question, and I think the reason he's not answering the question is because they don't want us to know. There's something bigger going on that Blizzard doesn't want us to know, because clearly, if you're telling me, well, when they come to destroy Azeroth, they need portals and it's not that easy, and how the fuck did they destroy all those other planets? You've got hundreds of other planets said to have been destroyed by the Burning Legion. They don't seem to have that much of an issue getting into reality, right?
We need to use this temple to Elune and make that into this, because it's this tomb to the Avatar Sargeras and all that sort of thing. So again, it takes a lot of effort for those things to happen.
You actually answered one of my last questions I had there, was the sort of interplay between the denizens of the death and life, because we know, Draka's been to Legion worlds and the Kyrian go beyond the veil. So you kind of answered, how come we've never encountered them before? Well, there is that sort of process that's kind of bound to them. The last question, I don't know if you can give us an answer to this.
And again, I'll just add to that, because you did kind of answer part of it, or I did, but like I would just say again that when we on Azeroth think about so many of these events that happened really in a short span of time on our calendar of from the time the Dark Portal was open, 30 some years before the events of the current game. Like, think how much has happened in that short span of time. And when you're dealing with these cosmic realms, like, some of that stuff went on over eons. And so you can imagine that, like, they could go long periods where there was no interaction, and then suddenly things would heat up and there would be wars between, the light and the void and like all this kind of stuff. And all of that stuff has happened on this.
Just want to point out, Xalatath did actually say this, right? Nymphonator, how you doing? Xalatath did say this when she asked the Draenei, I wonder if the Naru ever speaks of those that came before you, of the never-ending war. Right? So Xalatath basically explains, this war is much older than you. It's been going on much longer than you could ever hope for it to be.
This cosmic scale where time, isn't perceived the same way as it is on Azeroth. And so, that's just another thing to think about in those spans of time.
Mogachel, this does not answer my question. Not even a bit. It does answer questions of time and questions of scope, but it doesn't answer the question as to if they can't just move in on a whim, how is the Burning Legion causing the shit that they are? And how can they continuously do things and be in this realm with seemingly no real problems? How can the Naru be in this realm with seemingly no real issues? So those are questions that is at this, for the moment at least, quite literally unanswered.
As those forces are trying to move against one another in this cosmic chess game that they play.
Okay, and one of the last questions I had, and I don't know if you can answer this, but it was from the cinematic right before the one we just saw, where they're forging Shalamorn, and the gem that the jailer sort of pulls out of this realm that he puts into the sword.
Good question.
Do we have any idea? It's very similar to the gem that was in the crown. Will we get any sort of lead up to this or explanation on where that gem came from? What is the gem? Or is it just sort of just a domination crystal that was sort of to act as the eye of the jailer or in terms of the sword to transform Anduin?
When we see the jailer kind of move his hand and you see that magic and him reaching through there and taking this crystal out, you can imagine, and Sylvanas, that's something she hadn't seen before. That's not something that she was familiar with.
Okay.
And so that was a little thing that caught her eye as well. I think it's safe to say, without getting too spoilery, that it seems like the jailer might have his own kind of private stock of powerful things, whether those are souls or other forms of power. I guess we'll have to kind of wait and see. But I think it's also safe to say that with as deliberate and strategic as the jailer is, and that his plan is proving to be, that he didn't choose something at random, that he chose a very specific thing to put into that sword.
If you tell me he chose Arthas to put in that sword, I'm going to lose my fucking shit. Because the fact that he says very specific thing, you can imagine that. I'm going to be so angry if it is Arthas in there. Like, 100% going to lose my shit.
To forge into it. And it is also safe to say that the story of what that is and what it means will be something that we will visit as the story continues to develop.
Awesome.
What did you guys think? What did you think of this Q&A, of this interview, I guess you could call it? Before we continue, though, let me just quickly go to the bathroom. I need to pee. Wait, did the stream die? On my side, it's working. All right, I just wanted to say, on my side, it's working perfectly fine. I have no issues. It's all streaming. It's all fucking going. All right. Mike, you can go fuck yourself. We're not just fucking with you. You guys know how fucking sensitive I am to this shit. Because we're literally talking about South African internet. When you fuckers go, oh my god, I think his stream has died. I believe that. Because it is entirely possible that my stream has died. 100% possible. So, fuck all of you. You can all take this collectively, put it in your pocket. You guys suck. Well, that's what Uther felt when Antoine walked by, Arthur's soul and Shalamon. Well, we already know what he felt. Steve Denuso sort of told us, but that could definitely be something that he also felt, right? That could be part of it. Seabok, how you doing, bro? I'm gonna die. It's working now. Someone clip that and send it to Alpaca. Hey, if you guys do clip stuff from the streams, that's gonna be part of the new Shorts channel. Almost all of your clips are being made into Shorts. We're doing a test to see how the short channels work. Apparently Shorts is really fucking good. So we're trying to see how it works and if it could function. And we'll rule all the clips of Among Us. We should play Among Us again. But let me first get the move. Any news about the website? Malefia, how you doing? Yes, there is. Null Moon Lady, how are you? I didn't get time to say hello before because we're watching the Q&A. But I do have time to talk to you guys now. So, I sort of discovered a website, Malefia, that would be perfect. I was telling people on the stream about this earlier. It's called locals.com, and it does everything that I wanted to do. So I'm sort of trying to figure out all the steps in order to join it and to make it functional. But that's most likely going to be the new website. It is going to be locals because it gives me everything I want. Anyone that supports the channel on there has the ability to post to the community. And everyone that is in the community has the ability to see everyone else's posts. So people can actually do things that just works, if that makes sense. Wild Boy, how are you, man? Assuming the next class is Templar, what would you want to play in D4? There is sadly no Warlock or Necromancer yet. I'm probably going to start with a Rogue, Wild Boy. Probably going to start with a Rogue, and then hopefully Necromancer comes in soon. I'm a mom, and I'm literally getting lost every single day in Discord. My baby doesn't want lore fairy tales yet. Oh, Malefia, that's the sort of plan. Right? The plan for this website is to get a place where people can actually share stuff and it's easier to find what people have shared. Because the Discord is great and it's a lot of fun. But for someone who maybe just lurks and just wants to sort of unforgive one, Pump, come to me, please. Puma, come to me, please. I'm assuming you guys are playing Valheim. Because otherwise, you probably wouldn't be saying that. Oh yeah, I thought as much. But yeah, the Discord is a great community for especially what we have now, where people are playing games together and they're sort of, the community has really become self-sustainable, and I fucking love that. I love the fact that the Discord really is at this point where it is sort of its own little thing, right? We have people in the Discord that's never even heard of me. Like, they've just joined the Discord because their friends told them it's a cool place to be, and they're just sort of hanging out. I know this because I get DMs from people going, oh my god, I never even knew you made videos. I just like the lore of WoW, and I joined the Discord because people told me it's a good place for lore. And we have people playing video games together now, so it's a pretty good place. The only thing that's missing at this point, I guess, is people finding love in the Discord. Then we really would have gone full fucking circle. But I'm assuming with the amount of people that's playing video games together, that is also just a matter of time. Are you gonna do Torghast? Not tonight, Elive. You say that, but I love you. I love you too, Wild Boy. But I'm talking about a little bit different, you know? Different love. Not tonight. Remember, guys, I am moving on Friday, so I'm gonna be spending the night basically packing, getting ready to move. Because we're moving Friday morning very early. I'm not even going to be able to sleep on Friday. I'm legit going to finish packing, and then 7 a.m. we start moving to the new house. And then when I get to the new house, I have to unpack, I have to get ready, and I have to try and get everything as ready as possible for Sunday night. So that's sort of my plan right now. When's the last time you played Valheim? It's been a while. It's been like a week, maybe less than a week actually. No, it's been BlizzCon. I played Valheim before BlizzCon. Mike, I want to do a stream tomorrow. Even if it is just another short one like today. I do want to do a stream tomorrow. So we'll see how time works out. If I don't have enough time, then, you know, I need to fucking move. I don't have a choice. We've already ordered the truck. Everything is coming at 7 a.m. So if I'm not ready, those guys are going to charge me a lot, right? The new place is amazing. And I can't wait for you guys to see it. I really can't wait for you guys to see it. The new place is absolutely gorgeous. It's going to be a nightmare to sort of fill in. Luckily, I already have the guys meeting me there at 11 o'clock to install the air conditioner. To install plugs and things for the stream. I'm probably gonna get curtains made, as well as a giant acoustic sponge for the windows to ensure that sort of gets fixed. The internet for now is fine. Is the Sepulchre? Not quite, but there is a giant fireplace in the room. Like, my room has a fireplace in it. And I'm sort of figuring out how to incorporate the fireplace into the set. Like, I want the fireplace as part of the fucking set. Can you imagine wintertime in South Africa, the fireplace going in the background, making videos, doing streams, shit like that? Bane, thank you for the $10. I'd really fucking appreciate that.
Check the loading screen when swapping /loading jar. I think you can see the Primus in real form. Also how they distributed left and right.
Bane, thank you so much for the $10. Really fucking appreciate that. And to that point, they already said in a previous Q&A that it doesn't, like, the loading screen was literally just art. It was just art. They didn't make it so that it could, like, so the people would look at it and go, oh, are they together? Are they working together? What's going on here? It was just an artistic choice. They just made a choice based on art and said, okay, maybe we'll do this, right? Oh, Ben, thank you very much. Really appreciate that. Sitting in front of the fireplace with pipe and talking about lore like Hugh Hefner. You just gave me a fucking brilliant idea for a new video series. Whenever we do lore, I get myself a nice lounge chair, right? Literally at the fireplace with like a little coffee table with a steaming cup of coffee on the table. You have the fireplace going, maybe a bookcase of some kind, and you just sit there and you're talking about the lore, telling the story. That could work like a fucking charm. Be chill, have a giant book open too. Oh yeah. And a cop pipe, even if it's just for show. I'm definitely going to think about that. Depends on how big the room is, obviously. I've not seen the room, I've just seen video of the room. I'm too lazy to go check out the house that we're moving to. I legit just, I told the agent, can you walk through the house and just show me like the house on your phone? She did that, and I was like, yeah, that's fine. I'll take it. Otherwise, I have to go meet her there, and then she's going to show me shit. I'm like, no, I don't want to see this shit. I want to get back home. I need to work. So I legit just looked at the video, and I was like, yeah, this is good. I'll live here. Golden Echo, where's all the damn barbecue cooking show then? The barbecue cooking show will be more possible in this place if the backyard looks the way that I've been shown. Because I will have more privacy and more space between me and neighbors to actually make it work. A question, because I missed the most of the Q&As. In the raid, we battle the Eye of the Jailer. But there is also the whisper of Ilgi for the Lord of Ravens. Is it Odin's eye? The Lord of Ravens shall turn the key. Now that... Malifia, that is a very good question. It does state that the Lord of Ravens will turn the key. Could it be that they were talking about something in Shadowlands? What if the Lord of Ravens is the one who turns the key that frees Zuval? What if that's what that whisper means? The Lord of Ravens will turn the key. It's the key that frees Zuval. No, we know that the eye is related to Odin. The question is, what key? And what does it mean when it says the Lord of the Ravens will turn the key? Could Odin be the one who was fooled by Zuval for knowledge? Malifia, no. Odin, we know that Odin gave his eye to Muazala, right? Muazala was the one who got the eye. Muazala most likely gave the eye to Zuval then. The Lord of Ravens Medivh? Andy, that is an open-ended question that no one has had any answers to. The Lord of Ravens can either be Medivh or it can be Odin. Realistic, they didn't have Shadowlands in their minds by then? Demos, when? When are you saying they didn't have Shadowlands in their minds? But Muazala works with Zuval, right? Yes, Muazala does work with Zuval. But actually, it's me, the character. What do you mean it's you, the character? I don't think it's you, the character, that's the Lord of Ravens. What made you... How did you turn into the Lord of Ravens, Andy? Dimos, how far ahead do you think Blizzard makes their expansions? Yeah. I get what you're saying. I'm asking you, how far ahead do you think Blizzard makes their expansions? Because I can guarantee you that the Shadowlands was already planned before Legion. No. Demos, I have it literally from the developers themselves. It's usually 2 to 3 expansions before. So they think about 3 expansions ahead. They know what the next expansion is going to be, and they know what the expansion after that is going to be, and they already have an idea of what the expansion after that is going to be. They don't have everything planned out, but they know exactly. So to give you an example of what I know for a fact, because this is from the developer themselves, the cinematics that the Blizzard team is working on right now is the cinematics for the next expansion. They're already making cinematics now for the expansion of the Shadowlands. The cinematics for Shadowlands has already been made. They're done. They've been done for a while. There's some cinematics that they will tweak and sort of have to do in very quick succession, but they're big cinematics. They've already been made. They're just waiting to be shown. And the runes around Azeroth are also near Titans, so they are the bad guys. I believe that they're the bad guys. Well, not the bad guys. There's no such thing as good or bad guys. 1 year new X-Pack. I mean, they know what is going to happen in like 4 expansions, but not everything about it. Ukeldane, so we know, for example, that Shadowlands was already planned by Chris Metzen. Chris Metzen gave Blizzard a 6 expansion blueprint the day he left Blizzard Entertainment. The day Chris Mason left, he gave Blizzard, the people he was working with, a 6 expansion blueprint of every expansion that is to come. Fallon, what do you mean? It's the first raid tier of Legion. I get what you're saying, but I feel it's a stretch for such a minor quote. None of those quotes are minor, Demos. The quotes was very specific, and the quotes meant something very specific. Now, it might be that at that time, they weren't yet certain whether or not those quotes are going to be for Odin or whether or not they're going to be for Medivh, but they knew when they made those quotes what those quotes were going to represent. I never get an answer to my question. If we're dealing with the Shadowlands cosmic powers now, what could possibly be left to explore in an expansion or 2 from now? Just breaking it down. Slave to the Cross, I mean, we're dealing only with the eternal ones of death right now, right? Good expansion, but content drought? Fallon, I don't agree with that. What content drought have we experienced up until now? So Mason's fault that we have to deal with Sylvanas? Navoneta, maybe. Usually it's very efficient. Of course, I don't know exactly how Blizz conducts business. Wild Boy, it's almost exactly the way that you're saying it there. Cubano, thank you so much for the tier 1 sub. Did really fucking appreciate that. 2 months in a row. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Really appreciate that. You guys, you are so fucking kind. I really appreciate all of the subs and the donations and everything else. It goes a very long way to helping out the channel. I trust in Metzen. Read of Blood and Honor by Chris Mason, and you'll see what WoW is about, and it supports the Grey. So, I mean, I've read Blood and Honor, but a long time ago, admittedly. I should actually read all of the WoW books again. Well, actually, all of the Blizzard books again. Because I guess the last time was something like 3 or 4 years ago that I read the books from WoW. So I could actually read them again. But it's not just that. You can actually go watch interviews with Chris Mason as well. Obviously, in the books that Chris Mason did have a hand in, you can see the story of Blizzard and how far ahead they do actually think about some of these things. But you can also see in the interviews, Chris Mason, he thought well ahead of his time, and I can guarantee you Steve Denuser and them are they're exactly the same. They are thinking multiple expansions in advance whenever they're coming up with things and whenever they're trying to sort things out, and you kind of have to, right? You can't take a game like World of Warcraft expansion by expansion because you're dealing with a hell of a lot of story that needs to be coherent, right? If something happens in this expansion, it needs to have reverberating effects into the future. And you can't do that if all you're doing is just making things on a whim. But yes, to answer your question there, Slave, just to answer it, we're only fighting the cosmic forces of death right now. There is still 5 other cosmological forces, and with that said, we're not even going to be able to kill the cosmological forces of death. This might just be the first sort of blow against these cosmological forces. So this might be sort of the shot that's heard around the world, if you will. Right? This is the moment that we as mortals say, fuck you. As for what comes after this, it could be amazing, right? Can you answer this? How in the hell did the jailer know all the souls will go straight to the maw instead of flying aimlessly about when the Arbiter goes down? The game... Because it's how it always happened. Before Oribos, the souls of the dead would automatically go into the maw. So, in my opinion, that's exactly how he knew. The souls would just follow their original path. There is a reason why...
I love your videos and I like you and want to do more Thorgest with you, dude. Less than 3.
EXE Live TV, really appreciate the $5. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We'll definitely do Torghast again. This week is just going to be hell to get everything sorted, but we will most definitely do Torghast again. As to the question that you had, It just makes sense. I mean, you have the River Gargua running through the mall, right? Which is literally called the River of Souls. So that's the original place for All Souls. All Souls would automatically go to the mall. To secrecy and very tight. You would have seen how the zone previously locked before being destroyed, like the mall is now. So only the devs know what's 2 or 3 expansions ahead of time, not the entire company. Well, yeah, depends, of course, what you mean by the entire company. I actually even think the mall might be a first one, since they seem to be progenitor gods that are embodiment of concepts. Cubana, we've thought about that, but we also sort of thought that maybe the first ones have nothing to do with the cosmological forces. But the fact that they're being called progenitors does sort of lead me into the direction of they do embody the very things that they create, right? So they create things based on what they are. 9.1 won't come out until around August, in my opinion. That's almost a year with only one major content update. Fallon, I think August is a long time. And it's not really... No. That's very far from a year. That's like very far away from a 1 year with only one content update. You're talking about 4 months, 5 months at the most, right? 9.1 won't be in April. Nymphonator, there is no chance that 9.1 hits April. 9.0.5 is hitting next month. If anything that Blizzard has ever done is to go by, if it hits in March, right? So we're talking March, let's say around the 17th, 16th, 17th, maybe even the 23rd. You're talking about March, April, May, June, July, most likely, right? You're looking at about July where we should get patch 9.1. So that's in my opinion, we could look June, July is when we'll get 9.1. And then we'll most likely get by December, we'll get 9.0.5. Let's get 9.2. Yeah, 9.0.5. A lot of people forget this, but we have 9.0.5 scheduled literally for March. Blizzard have already said March is when 9.0.5 launches. Blizzard's original launch structure per patch is 3 to 4 months, right? Usually 3, but let's say with COVID, we go to 4. So let's say it's 4. And let's say March, right? So you have around March 17th that it's going to launch. So then you have April, May, June, July. So we give them 4 months just because of COVID and how things might be slowing down. So that gives us around the 15th of June, maybe July, if you want to say 5 months for COVID. But 15th of June is relatively a good time to expect 9.1 to be released. And then, of course, you'd have July, August, September, October. October will be 9.1.5, probably also around the 12th or the 13th, somewhere there. And then, of course, you'd have November, December, January, February, most likely for patch 9.2. And it sort of works out, but because if you have February 9.2, you have July, August, you have 9.3, and then next year, December, you have the new expansion. 9.1 is coming a bit after 9.0.5. That's why I'm saying is coming at the end of April or beginnings of May. PvZ can't take that longer. And Castle will be the first release raid to take so much time, active to complete. Nymphonator, the problem with your argument is pay attention to how much they showed us at BlizzCon. How much did they show you on BlizzCon? The answer is nothing. We got 0 footage of the new zone, 0 footage of the new dungeon, 0 footage of the new raid, zero footage of the new Torghast. We got zero footage of the new Maw. We got 5 or 6 screenshots. What that means is none of those things is even remotely ready to be shown. Like, not even close. They have nothing to show yet. That's literally what it means. Otherwise, they would have shown it. They want to get hype up. So at the end of the day, you thinking that it's going to be April means that you're going to have 9.0.5 in March, right? And then literally a month later, you're going to have 9.1. So this gives Blizzard a month, 2 months at most to get 9.1 out. I highly doubt that. The game, thanks for the follow. Really fucking appreciate that, man. The 9.1 PTR will be right behind the 9.0.5 release, though, and PTRs do not last 4 months. The grey PTRs in every single patch for BFA and for Legion, the patch went live, and the very next week, the PTR started. A week or two after the patch. I know this because I only played PTR and BFA. So whenever the patch launched, about 2 weeks later, we would stream WoW again, because then there was a PTR to stream. Kylie K, take care of yourself. Thank you very much for hanging out. Really appreciate it. No, their PTRs take a while. Blizzard's PTRs, the first PTR, like the first few weeks on the PTR, usually have nothing, right? It's minor things. And then as the PTR moves on, you get more and more shit being introduced until finally you have the full PTR. But no, Blizzard's PTR patches have gotten really, really long. They basically taste for almost 3 months. Never 4 months, because it's never been 4 months. Remember, the Blizzard's schedule, their official schedule, is 6 months between major content patches. So this is what Blizzard officially shoots for. Every 6 months, there must be a new major patch. Yeah? So every 3 months, there's an in-between 0.5 patch, and then 3 months after that, there is the major patch that launches. I drink Pepsi Max, yes. Tracker NPC bug before Altamore is there since launch. That's why I'm sticking with May, June for 9.1. The only reason I gave it an extra month, the Grey, and sort of said June, July, the only reason I gave it an extra month is because of COVID. Going down, they will have to speed up patches. But subs isn't going down. And I don't agree with you. Speeding up the patches is not going to stop people from unsubbing. In fact, everything we've seen up until now means the inverse is true. The faster they bring out new patches, the more people unsub. And the reason for that is the patches is absolute dog shit. Just because you dress something up as new doesn't mean that everyone wants to play it. You have to make sure that it's fun to play. And if it's fun to play, people will stick around and they'll play. That's all that matters. This is the longest that I've played World of Warcraft since Legion. After launch. This is the longest I've played World of Warcraft since Legion. In Legion, I raided, so I sort of had to play. But even in Legion, I didn't log in unless it was for raid. I had other games that I play. Now, I find myself, even when I have other things that I could play, I find myself wanting to play WoW. So I log into WoW and I do quests and I sort of enjoy myself in WoW. I fucking love it. I love Shadowlands because it was made good. It's a good expansion. And I don't care if there's a little bit of downside. There's more than enough to do, or a little bit of downtime. There's more than enough to do in World of Warcraft that doesn't force you to just fucking bash out content left, right, and center. Then you end up with something like BFA where every content patch is worse than the fucking last. And you only start turning it around once you hit 9.2 with Nazjatar and with Mechagon, right? That's when you finally start turning it around. At that point, no one even gives a fuck, right? Penis just got a new patch. I guess I better go show. Guess you're gonna go play with it. Or you're more than welcome to. I don't like it. It seems to be a misconception within the gaming industry as a whole. The gaming industry seems to be in this bubble where they think just throwing content out there will keep people happy. And the truth is, no. You have to make that content good. World of Warcraft is not Call of Duty. You can't just reskin it and think the player's going to be happy. It's a very different game. If you want people to enjoy the game, you have to make a good game. And if it's a good game, people will play it. That's my genuine belief. If you make it good, people will fucking play. And people will play for much longer than what you think. It's natural. And this is something that there's no way of fixing it. It's natural that after a given amount of time, after a patch, people are going to stop subscribing. Because they've done everything, they're over now, they want to move on. But if that patch was good, here's how this business model should be working. If patch 9.1 is brilliant, people will come back for 9.2. And if 9.2 is brilliant, people will come back for 9.3. So it doesn't matter how much downtime there is, because the vast majority of people actually do not cancel their subscriptions. A good example of this is, why do you people think, all of you viewers, why do you guys think streamers ask for subscriptions? Why do you think streamers prefer asking for subscriptions over asking for straightforward donations? You get more money with the donation, by the way. Keep this in mind. When you donate to me, I lose 2%. That's all that PayPal takes, right? PayPal takes 2% of that entire donation. So your $10 or your $100 or whatever, it doesn't matter. No, it's got nothing to do with being honest. Subs is more permanent. This is the beauty of business. A sub is more long-term. It is more permanent. You see, a lot of people are subbed to channels that they don't even watch anymore. I know, because I just recently canceled a couple of subs from people that I haven't watched in over a year. I just forgot. I forgot that I'm subbed to these people, and every month it takes my sub, and every month I go, fuck, I should cancel that, and then I forget, and it just keeps taking the sub. Also, there's the opposite side of that, where it does breed loyalty, right? If you are subbed to someone, you feel obligated to go watch, which creates rapport, which creates loyalty, which keeps people coming, keeps people around. This is why Twitch streamers love asking for subs rather than donations, because it means that it's a guaranteed income that's not likely to disappear. So take, for example, just to explain to you guys, Appleboy Azaz, thank you much for the follow. Really fucking appreciate that. Welcome to the channel. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's take a look at Twitch subs versus YouTube subs. YouTube subs is up and down. If I don't constantly release video that take that number up, if I stand still for even 24 hours, it drops by about 10 subscribers. Every YouTuber does this. You lose subscribers every single fucking day. People unsub from your channel, either automatically because they haven't watched in a long time or whatever. However, on Twitch, my subs almost constantly just go up. They remain the same or they go up. There's very few times that it would dip lower unless someone is being a cunt. We call him out on being a cunt and then he unsubs because he's angry that he couldn't be a cunt in chat, and we wouldn't let him, right? But for the most part, once people are subbed, they feel like they should dedicate at least some of their time to that stream. And the same goes for business. The same goes for games. If you pay that sub, you feel like you should play the game. Now, The gaming company's job is to make sure that it's fun. My job as a streamer is to entertain you. You are going to stop subbing to my channel if you no longer find it entertaining. I have to entertain you, which is one of the reasons I've stopped doing just boring gameplay streams, and I've actually decided to start discussing the lore before we get into gameplay. Right? Before I play any game, every single night on my channel, you will get met by about 2 or 3 hours of lore before we play anything else. Before we even step into another game. Even if it's WoW, I refuse to play WoW right from the start. I prefer to start with some lore discussion, start with some Q&A about lore, because I'm trying to put on a show that is entertaining to you, that allows you to escape for a little while, that makes you feel like this is a good place to be, right? This is a fun place to be. Whereas if I stopped entertaining you, if we reach the point where you go, man, this guy's fucking boring, I lose subs. As long as I keep it up, I gain subs. Now, think about that in terms of World of Warcraft. Same thing. If they make a good patch, you keep subbing. If they make a bad patch, you unsub. So the only job they have is not about how often. So there are people, you know, there's streamers on this platform that make a living streaming only twice a week. This is Frost, how you doing, bro? Musa, how you doing? Just watch your new video. What if the Night Warrior we meet in Autumnweald? On from another planet, but from a previous version of Azeroth that was reset. The general reset happened, but beings evolved different. Do you have any evidence of that? Like anything that links to it? Then the format you have is really cool. Uncle Dane, thank you very much. Really appreciate that. Don't really care about watching gameplay. I'm here for memes and lore. For the memes. Now ask yourself, how many are subbed because of your looks? James, I would say the vast minority. If you're subbed because of my looks, I would say you need eyes. Maybe your eyes aren't working. If you genuinely sit there and go, man, this guy's good looking, you need to go see your fucking optometrist. Your eyes are no longer working the way that it should. All we know is that their world was being attacked and they tried using the power of a loon to stop them. Nusa, I do like the thought, but I don't know, like, they do explain that their world, that they saved their world, but they died, right? So they do explain that, right? Why are you subbing viewing Akko? Looks, chat, discussion, gameplay. Check new meme video on Discord. Dr. I'll check it now. I'm subbed because you're date sexy, brother. Sathix, really appreciate that, bro. But you do need to go see your eye doctor. I love your content, but I want to say that your videos are amazing, and I'm coming in here when I can. I have a job and stuff, but when I'm here, I'm feeling I'm here and having fun. EXE Live, that's pretty much all I care about, right? I want to provide a place for people to just kick back and relax for a short while. Like, even if it is just a couple of hours a day, I feel like people should feel like they're escaping from the real world. Just for a short while. Come join us in Azeroth. Come join us in Fantasy. Hukeldane, thank you so much for the tier 1 sub. Did really fucking appreciate that. Welcome to the Fat Fuckers Club. Thank you, thank you, thank you. When he died, he created everything in reality. It's been a couple of years since I've been to the eye doctor. You might be right. Exactly. I don't have many streamers that I follow. Mostly the games I play myself. And as well, similar character and background-wise, my Twitch followers are either from Overwatch or WoW. And only a couple that I really am interested to be within my streamer pot. I appreciate that, Digit. Why did the detective drink the poison? I don't know, Mike. Why? I know you answered this probably 1,000 times, but who is the Wintergreen sister? The game, I believe it's a loon, but it could also be Freya, right? It could also be A&R. Right now, no one knows. That is legitimately the most honest answer I can give you. I don't know. I think it's a loon, but it could very easily, just as easily, be A&R. They did one. Who's to say that the world didn't reset after they died? if time doesn't matter in the Shadowlands, we have no time frame to when they died. Nusa, this is possible. However, I feel like we would have gotten more information about that if that was the case. My mom is having heart surgery today, and this stream is helping me keep my mind off of things. Fowlin, holy shit, dude. I really hope that your mom is going to be okay. Can we get some love and chat for Fowlin? Some thoughts and prayers for your mom. I know everything is going to work out fucking well, and you will be in my thoughts, Fowlin. We also have an update on Adelia's aunt. Her aunt did pass away, and they had the very unfortunate job today of actually telling her mother, her grandmother, Adelia's grandmother, her aunt's mother, that she lost her child. Which I can't even fucking imagine. Parents are not meant to bury their children, right? So that is sort of very fucking miserable. So when you guys see Adelia, when you see her in Discord, just send her some love. Me and my brother started to play WoW, and we played for 5 to 6 years, and then he died, and World of Warcraft is a place that I can escape and have a good time. My brother would have loved your videos. EXE, I really appreciate that, and I'm so sorry for your loss. My grandmother has to bury my mom and my aunt, poor woman. Fuck. My grandma had to bury my mom as well. True condolences to Adelia too. Absolutely. But to everyone, I mean, this is a community that I think we all know each other. We all enjoy hanging out together. So I do think if one member of the community goes through something like this, it does touch everyone. Slave to the cross, you motherfucker. Lightening the mood by gifting 10 community subs, dude. Really appreciate that, Slave. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Love and chat for Slave as well. Holy shit. You know, just sort of handing out the good vibes. Slave, really appreciate you, dude. Thank you for that. But that is, Fowlin, that is sort of my goal, right? That is absolutely the thing that I care about most. I mean, I have, just to be very honest, I have a lot of opinions on politics and the real world and all that shit. The reason I barely ever or very rarely share them, and when I do share them, I'm extremely cautious of how I share them, is I genuinely don't want people to feel like this is a political thing. People should forget about the real world when they come to the stream. People should not step into the stream and feel like, oh my god, I'm being preached to by some fat cunt in his bedroom, or feel like, you know, they can't escape, because everything that they get in the real world is also the same shit that they're getting in this one, right? Here, we deal with fantasy, we deal with fun, we have fun, we laugh together. That's literally what I try to cultivate here. Katsu Gaming, thanks for the sub, did really fucking appreciate that. 5 months in a row. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Sandrew, thanks for the follow, really appreciate that. NPC naming, says Brad. Says Frost, you have to name it or request it at the time of the D&D campaign. That's Apocalypse's rules. That's Apocalypse's rules. So, actually, you know what? Fuck it. No, Cesar, because you did that, I'm gonna screen cap this for you. If it will fucking work. For some reason, why will my screen cap not work? Green shot. What is going on with you? Okay, there we go. I made it work. Alright. I got it. I got the screen cap, so I should be able to... Alright, thank you very much, Andy. Really appreciate that. We'll get that character for you. We'll get that NPC for you named. I really appreciate my man, Akalon. You remind me of my brother, to be honest, attitude-wise. Well, then your brother is a very cool guy. Because I might not be much, but I think I'm a cool guy. No, I genuinely couldn't give 2 fucks about myself. I'm very much a love him or hate him kind of guy. Like, either you enjoy my personality and you get along with me great, or you fucking loathe me. There's very little in between. There's very little in between. And I realized that in high school and in primary school. I always had either teachers that loved me or teachers that couldn't fucking stand me. It was always one or the other. I never had a teacher that was just fine with me. It was always either they couldn't fucking, like, literally could not stand me, chased me out of their class every single day, or they loved me and we would have smokes during break in their flats. Can you show me your Pango liquid, please? I can indeed. I just got a new shipment today. The new bottle, actually. Same shit, though. I am addicted to this Pango. Pango is just insane. Have you thought about moving out of South Africa? Sanan, I have, yes. I would love to move out of South Africa, but it's not that easy. On a happy note, I found out 2 years ago I had a half-sister that I never met in Portugal, and a week ago I reached out to her. How did that go, Nusa? Tractor, how you doing, bro? I love your paintings, and no, I can't buy them. You can. I'm pretty sure you can. I have a cherry lime ginger vape juice that is great. Cherry lime and ginger. That sounds like a whole lot too many fucking ingredients in that thing. Hold up, let me just quickly see here. Pretty sure we made those paintings on Teespring. I just want to see. I told you 2 weeks ago. I'm pretty sure you can. I'm pretty sure you can. Let's go to the store. I think I'm gonna have to fucking go down quite a bit in order to find. I'm gonna clean up the store. I promise, guys. The store will be cleaned up. Right now, it is just. I need this, by the way. You see this hoodie? I want this fucking. I want this hoodie. Slave of the Cross, I saw. Thank you so much for purchasing from the shop. I really appreciate that. You would watch your streams, even if you were just chatting with us, without any lore or stuff. It's just a ton of fun hanging out with you and the community. Macmillan, I am very happy to hear that. I do the lore stuff just as sort of an extra thing, but I do love just hanging out. I love just hanging out and just chatting to you. I don't know how many of you watched the interview that I did with the charity. There was like an interview that the charity that we did for BlizzCon. I was and they asked me why do I like streaming so much, and the genuine answer is it's fucking fun. Here we go. EXE. These are the paintings. We have them as cushions as well as canvases. So you can order this canvas right from here. Hold up. I'm gonna have to go look at it again. Brun, how you doing? It was literally just, it's a written interview. I think I linked it somewhere. I can't fucking remember where I linked it. This hoodie, by the way, need to make myself a new one of this, because this is the shirt, but it's faded as fuck now. You can see sort of the emblem still there, but it is faded. I need to buy myself another one of these, because it says Words of Hazakostas, Battle for Answers. And I just feel like that is appropriate. That is usually what fucking happens. Alright, so I'll give you both links here. EXE. There's one, and then the Alliance one is here. All the merch goes to support Alex and the editing team. I still have to make this. I still have to get a shirt like this. Respect my authority. This is genius. I don't know why we didn't upload the other canvas. The middle canvas, I think we didn't put up. up? I wasn't here. I'm sorry. Welcome, and I'm sorry I disappeared so quickly. I need to do something and I didn't ask how are you? Elistri, you don't have to apologize. I mean, I get it. Especially once you're finished streaming, it's very difficult to keep hanging out because you have things that you need to do. That's why you stop the stream. So I'm fully understanding of that point. Not yet, Sassafrost. So Alex is working on new merch right now. Let me just quickly show you guys what he's working on. That'll go up probably soon. TM. Don't know exactly when we're gonna be putting this up, but I'll show you guys quickly. So this is going up like I said, soon. Alex is trying to figure out how to make it work on a shirt and a hoodie, because I want the shirt. It's Sylvanas' face. Dark Lady watch over you on the mug, right? So you've got this as a mug that's going out, and we're trying to figure out how to do this shirt or do this face on a shirt. So as soon as Alex has figured that out, this merch will be live as well. We're gonna start doing far more merch, just like cool WoW stuff when and if we can. The problem with WoW stuff is you need to make so many changes not to infringe on copyright. Macmillan, holy shit, another 5 community subs. That's 15 for the night. Really appreciate that, Macmillan. Can we get some love in chat for Macmillan? He loves gifting to this community, and it is just insane to have you as being part of this community, Macmillan. Thank you so much for everything that you do for the community. And for all the, literally, like, I think half the fucking, half the subs that we have Macmillan to thank for being subs. But how much WoW merch work? If you change it enough, Blizzard doesn't mind. But you have to change it quite a fucking bit. Oh yeah, Macmillan, I really appreciate that. I'm honored that so many of you come out, and especially since the streams have been doing really fucking well the last few weeks.
You look like you've lost some weight.
Diablo fanboy, thank you for the $10. I really fucking appreciate that.
I would love to see Anduin embrace the void in order to break from the domination magic, because I feel the light might abandon him like it did Bolvar and Arthas. I want a dark Anduin so bad.
You and me both, brother. You and me fucking both. I would pay good money to see Dark Anduin. But you're too hard on Jaina? I've never been hard on Jaina. Brando, I actually kind of like the new Jaina, the one that's a little bit more dark. I didn't like Jaina when she was just complaining about shit. Like, when Jaina was really just sort of anti-Horde and fuck the Horde, even though, you know, it wasn't even the Horde that did what she claimed they did. That was sort of like, I don't know, that Jaina I didn't like, but the new Jaina I do actually like quite a bit. They don't touch Arthas. His story is perfect. Don't Illidan him. I really don't want them to Illidan him. I will agree with that. But yeah, just to the point. By the way, Diablo fanboy, thank you so much for the $10 tip, dude. Really appreciate that. I am going to be cleaning up the merch store, so I can pretty much tell you the fuck shirt is going away, because I think I'm one of the only people that would actually wear a shirt like this, and I do actually wear shirts like this. I have a fuck shirt, but this is going away. I think these are going away. The Horde and the Alliance mugs, they're most likely going away as well. The Fat Man Gaming one is probably going to be removed as well. This is going away. This is going away. The words of Azakostas might stick. This is definitely staying. I will never remove this. Look at this. How can you not want a shirt like this? I'm getting all of these shirts made, but how can you not want a fucking shirt like this? Look at that. This was made for Vanilla WoW. We now just need to update it to TBC Classic. What characters of WoW do I not like? There's actually no characters in WoW that I hate or that I dislike. There's characters that I don't think serve much of a purpose because they're either too boring or they're too one-dimensional, which definitely does happen. From time to time, Blizzard will fall into, Anduin fell into that trap for quite a while, where the character was just boring, you know? The character, it was so one-dimensionally good that there was nothing human about that character. Whereas now, there's definitely so much more to really like. So I don't really have characters that I dislike in WoW. I do have characters that I'm sort of cold about. So for example, the Dragonflight, I don't care about the Dragonflights. I've said this before. My lore on the Dragonflights is enough to get by, and I know the sort of macro story of the dragons. I don't know the minutia and the small little things about the dragons, because I genuinely get bored when I read the dragon lore. Again, because the dragons are extremely one-dimensional. But I do think that's about to change, especially since Blizzard seems to be far more poised now to create more believable characters rather than these obviously good, obviously evil characters. So I'm sort of looking forward to the future of the dragons. But then again, I don't hate the dragons. I just find them mildly boring. And by that, I don't mean the world that they come from and the history that envelops them. I mean their specific histories. Their specific stories bore me. Cinematic, he only acted because the roundup prodded him to act. He has as much depth as a sheet of paper. They didn't say they wouldn't be redeemed. Is it possible that the brokers are ethereals who were simply in the Shadowlands when whatever happened to their planet happened? Treebird, so I do believe that there's a lot to be noticed, or a lot to be compared, or similarities, I guess you could say, between David G. Thanks for the $5. I really fucking appreciate that.
Holosun, what if Anduin is forced to tap into Void to break Zobal's control and he starts down that dark cycle that every Naru faces when the light runs out? BTW sent you my theory/excerpts via Discord message. Draven Dracanto's username. Thanks again.
David G, thank you so much for the $5. I really appreciate that. I have sort of answered it before, but I will just quickly say, because you did give money for it, that is most likely what's going to happen. Blizzard did not accidentally show Anduin dabbling in the void, right? That final second to last chapter in Shadows Rising wasn't there by accident. There's a very good and I believe proper reason for why that chapter is there and why that chapter ended the way that it did. So the void will almost definitely have a role to play. As to when that role will be, that obviously is up for debate, right? There's just no way of really knowing. Good afternoon. First time I've caught your streams. Hope your day is going well. 4 feet. I'm not entirely sure if I'm saying your name correctly, but 4, thank you so much. I'd really appreciate that. Welcome to the stream. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I very much appreciate you being here, and I'm glad that you enjoy the content. The beard shirt is going away as well. The gaming shirt is going away. These are going away. These will probably stay because they're quite cool. This will definitely stay. But yeah, we're remaking the entire shop from scratch. We're going to be reworking the shop and then obviously getting hopefully some really cool shit in. Oh, WoW is nowhere near over. Call it an expansion. If you will, but WoW is coming to an end. That's why Blizzard's releasing classic games now. Claytoras definitely do not agree with that. Katrina Stars, thank you so much for the tier ones. I really fucking appreciate that. 23 months in a row. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Hope you're having a good day. I am having a wonderful day, Katrina. Just hanging out with everyone. So yeah, definitely a good day for me. There's no indication whatsoever that World of Warcraft is coming to an end. If anything, it's starting to look really, really good for the future. Shadowlands did insanely well, and I think it's going to continue to do really well. If Blizzard can sort out their shit, hopefully the next expansion won't suck. That would give us, for the first time ever, 2 expansions back to back that doesn't suck. And at that point, I think we could see World of Warcraft return to its former glory almost. I think it took Blizzard a couple of expansions to really get into the thick of things, but I think they're ready now. How far can we go? Clitoris... Infinite. I mean, it is infinite, right? That's like saying, how many books can you write? Well, about as many books as you can think of, right? Or asking, like, how many ways can you draw a picture? As many ways as you can think of. It's all to do with imagination. The sky is quite legitimately the limit when it comes to how many stories you can actually create. We're fighting gods, but we're not really fighting gods. We're only fighting eternal ones at this point. We haven't even gotten to the gods. Just want your thoughts. Stream off of how your gut instincts tell you Blizzard will do with Sylvanas. My gut instinct tells me that Sylvanas is going to change our minds. Sylvanas is going to change the way we view what she did. Eternal Ones, Titans, did I miss any? Okay, so you've basically missed all of it. We've never dealt with the cosmological force of life. We've dealt with a version of it in the Emerald Dream. But if you look at the Evergrowth, life itself can also be extremely problematic. So there's the entire cosmological force of life that needs to be dealt with. There's the entire Twisting Nether that needs to be dealt with. We've dealt with the demons that is of the Twisting Nether, but we've never dealt with the Twisting Nether itself and the Lords of Chaos that would almost undoubtedly live and reside within the Twisting Nether. Then you have the true Realms of Death, which we've not seen yet, which would still need to be explored. We have the Realms of Light that needs to be explored, and everything within the Realms of Light that needs to be explored. Then you have the Void and all of the Void realms that needs to be explored. Then you have Order and all of the Order realms that needs to be explored. So right there, it gives you 6 expansions that could still come. Then you have the Dragonflights and the Dragon Isles that needs to be explored. You have Thros and the Drust and their story that needs to be explored. You have the story of Koresh and what happened to the Ethereals and how that could be an expansion in and of itself that could also be explored. You have countless worlds within the Great Beyond that could be explored and could be exploited for expansion content. So at the end of the day, just within the last minute, I gave you a minimum of 11 expansions that could still come that everyone would fucking enjoy and would play because it deals with major lore implications. Now think what Blizzard can do with so much more talent than what I have and more people working on it. So no, the truth is it only gets stale if you run out of content to make, and you only run out of content to make when you have no more imagination left. And a company that is as big as it is, as Blizzard is, can just hire new people if they really need to. Do want to fuck up some Drust. Those pricks have been a pain in the ass for a while now. I would like to learn about them. I don't necessarily want to fuck them up. So why did I lose moderator status? Isolith, we just changed all the moderators that is moderators on Discord to moderators on Twitch and YouTube. So it was just part of cleaning up. As I said during YouTube Sunday and the Sunday before, if you want moderator status back, just message one of the mods on Discord and tell them that you want to be a mod. Because, well, we basically, all of the rules for all of the platforms is decided upon in Discord meetings and on the Discord channel for the mods. This is where the mods sort of figure out how they're going to moderate the channel. The problem is if we have mods on Twitch and on Discord and on YouTube that isn't also mods on Discord, then we have no way of communicating with those mods when rules are being changed or when things are going wrong or how things should even be changed. So it was legitimately just part of a cleanup operation. I didn't even look at everyone. I literally unmodded everyone and then just added the mods that is on Discord as mods. So do you think Sylvanas actually killed and raised Anduin? Is he actually dead now? Katrina Stars, no. He is most definitely not dead. Don't get me wrong, I've enjoyed every expansion so far. It's just the fact that it has gone too far, in my opinion. They should have made the jailer interact with us as the Lich King did during questing and dungeon during Wrath of the Lich King. That was sick. Claytorus, I kind of like the way they've done it up until now, though. I hated BFA, so never ever want to have anything that was even close to fucking BFA. But Katrina, just back to your question there. Anduin is still very much alive. This has sort of been confirmed at during the Q&As and stuff. Anduin is just now under the influence of the jailer. Never get invites to the Discord meetings. We always say when we're gonna have a meeting in the war room. BFA was so bad. I agree. And Sylvanas is not dead as well. That's a very important note to remember as well. No, Sylvanas is very much dead. Well, undead. So technically you are correct. Sylvanas isn't dead. She is undead, but she's still not alive, right? The grabs his chest, memory of his life, seeing Anduin or the Jailer's presence. Jailer's presence. This has been confirmed during the BlizzCon Q&A. BFA had a lot of good in it, to be fair, but key systems destroyed it. I failed to see any of the good that BFA had. I'm being very honest with you guys. I know people love different things, and that's perfectly fine. But for me, the only thing that was good in BFA was the lore. And Mary actually has a very good point there. Remember, for the Lich King, the reason the Lich King interacted with us is because we were instrumental to his plans. The reason the jailer does not interact with us in any way, shape, or form is he couldn't give two fucks about us. To the jailer, we do not matter. Pink Gandalf, how you doing, bro? I want to know who is going to kill the Winter Queen. I believe Anduin will not kill her. Will she even die? I loved Legion. BFA was so... I really liked the Illidan story. Legion was a lot of fun. Shelter State of Venari reached. Nice, B-Net. Menchi still has her mortal coil, not a bodiless spirit taken from them all. This I agree with, Driz. The fact that Fordring was able to maintain the Scourge in Orthrend shows us that Arthas was evil. The jailer didn't have full control of him. Fordring was able to maintain the Scourge in Orthrend. Clitoris... No. No, there is a lot that you miss in that push. So the difference between Arthas and Bolvar Fordragon, so I'm assuming you meant Fordragon and not Fordring, because Fordring never maintained the Scourge anywhere. He wanted to, but he didn't. But I'm assuming you mean Fordragon. Bolvar wasn't completely undead and also didn't lose his soul, whereas Arthas did, right? So the day Arthas picked up Frostmourne, he was warned that there would be a terrible price to pay for picking up the blade, and he said it doesn't matter, no price is too big. Yeah, every single time he wielded Frostmourne, more and more of his soul was lost to the blade, up until the point where he had nothing, right? There was just nothing left of Arthas whatsoever. So Arthas was an empty husk, soulless, just basically doing whatever the fuck he wanted, because when you don't have a soul from a fantasy standpoint, you don't have any empathy, sympathy, or morals. You just kind of do whatever the fuck you want. Now, at that point, when Arthas donned the helm, he was an empty vessel ready to be filled by Suval. So Suval could pretty much do whatever the fuck he wanted through Arthas, because Arthas had no way of stopping him to do so. What little humanity Arthas had left, Uther tells us in the dungeon, what's the dungeon called? Halls of Reflection, I believe it is. In the Halls of Reflection, Uther tells us when we're standing in front of Frostmourne, Uther explains that what little humanity Arthas has left is the very thing that's keeping the Scourge at bay and stopping the Scourge from completely overrunning the world and destroying all of us. Then you move to Bolvar. Bolvar was very much in the helm, and Bolvar was resisting the power of Zuval, This is why Bolvar never fell as far as Arthas went. But Arthas fell because he had no capability of saying no. He was an empty vessel at the time of donning the helm. I hope that makes sense. The Exarch is dead. Maybe he just took the key. If he took the key but doesn't kill her even after everything she did to him, that speaks volumes as well. She's not. The Archon isn't dead. We know that also. It's been said at the Q&A. The Archon is very much alive. Sylvanas is the only normal mortal who's this close to the jailer who maintain her free will and isn't just overlooked or pushed over for his goals. Even Calthazard got himself pulled back to the moor because the jailer just wanted it. Sylvanas would also surely have just been dominated or reaped if she turned him down. Same as Anduin. What kind of choice is that? I mean, there is very little choice in this, right? Tactical Bite, thank you so much for the Prime sub, dude. Really fucking appreciate that. Welcome to the Fat Fuckers Club. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Tatiana, how are you? Very good evening to you. If I was the jailer, I would not kill them, but chain them up forever. Killing them would be too easy for them. Well, we have this sort of back and forth whether or not can they actually die, and if they can die, how would that actually play out, right? That's sort of the back and forth that we have. I don't know the answer to this. I sort of think that they can die, but I do think that if you hate someone as much as the jailer does, he would most likely want to kill them with his bare hands and not through a vessel. So that's sort of my headcanon on why the Archon survived. There could be another reason for this. The fact that Anduin sort of broke free for a moment, the jailer realized that he needs to get Anduin back as quickly as possible. If Anduin stays there for too long, he could risk losing control completely of the vessel, and then that key is lost, right? Plus, Anduin would now know everything that he wants to do. So rather than making sure that he actually killed the Archon, he just brings Anduin back as quickly as humanly possible. Now, again, I'm not saying that is 100% true. I don't know what would be 100% true. I'm thinking sort of that, or that's at least where my thoughts are on it at the moment. Bolvar could resist, yes. For that moment, shows he has some strong power, or jailer not as powerful. It definitely shows Anduin's power, 100% shows Anduin's power, but I think more importantly than that, it shows the tremendous good that is within Anduin. Even under control, doing something that evil, Anduin's emotional, like his ability to fight back in that moment, to allow him to break free again, it shows a tremendous strength of character, if you will. Domination is a magic that the Archon and they did to jail him, and he have to learn in the moor to use that to take over that which was his. Yes. EXE, very true. Jailer might have used only some of the domination magic. I think we see with the runes activating on the armor, that's where we see sort of the jailer taking full control, right? So the jailer maybe at first didn't have to use as much domination magic, and maybe he didn't use as much domination magic because he was trying to hide his presence from the Kyrian. Because remember, if Anduin walked in there full on domination magic, hopped up to fuck on the jailer, the Kyrian would have realized that this is something that is happening. They would have sensed that there is some kind of evil within him. So the jailer used the minimum amount of domination magic so that he could fly under the radar and they would still think that this is Anduin. But then once Anduin killed the Archon, that minimum amount wasn't enough and he had to finally install full control in order to make sure that, you know, now Anduin will come back with his key. How the hell did Anduin get out of the mall? So for us, according to Steve Denuser, we are going to learn that in the aftermath of what Anduin had done, we finally learned that they now have the ability to move freely in and out of the mall. So they did something, or we did something to reestablish the movements between the Maw and the rest of the Shadowlands, and that's how he got out. So according to them, at least, we are going to get an explanation for why that happened. However, ladies and gentlemen, with that answered, we've done 4 hours tonight. I would have loved to spend even more time with you, but I have to go pack. I have to go get ready. We are moving on Friday, and I legitimately only have, I literally only have this time to do this. So, that sort of sucks. I am, however, going to pass you guys off to Vizzy, who is streaming World of Warcraft, and I believe she's discussing World of Warcraft lore as well. Even if you don't know her, that's fine. She is a friend of the channel. Most of you should have seen her already. At least go say hello to her, and then go do whatever the fuck you want, right? I really appreciate each and every one of you coming out, hanging out with me. I love all of you. Thank you so much for making it amazing. I will be back tomorrow night, even if it is for a short stream, 2 hours, 3 hours, maybe at the most. I will be back. And then, of course, Friday, I won't be here because I will be moving and all the rest of it. But I'm trying to sort everything so that I'm back on Sunday. Ladies and gentlemen, take care of yourselves. Take care of your family members, your loved ones. Cut each other some slack. Cut yourself some slack. And be good. Peace out.
So yeah, I need new mods.